There is no doubt there is a hop in their step right now. Your Phillies are as poised a team as could be in the heat of July. They are riding high in the division and riding a 9-game winning streak of confidence on a staff of solid arms night after night. The sluggers of South Philly continue to take down starting pitchers one after another. Your Phillies are the hottest team in baseball, and it's nothing to joke about. It's also not a surprise. They are the defending world champions. The Phillies are looking to continue their longest winning streak since 1991, as tonight they get set to take on the Chicago Cubs in Game 2 of a 3-game series. Hi, everybody. I'm Tom McCarthy, along with Chris Wheeler. Gary Matthews will be along in just a little bit. What a surge the Phillies are on right now. They've won 13 of 14 games, and one of the big reasons why is because of their starting pitching. And tonight it'll be Joe Blanton who goes for the Phillies, and a familiar face for him, Wheels, on the other end in Rich Harden.
Yeah, former teammates, Tom. Both of them were really good pitchers at one time with Oakland. Oakland, of course, has to move players when they get to the point where they're going to be free agents because of their economics, and they traded both of them. Rich Harden with the Cubs, Joe Blanton, of course, with the Phillies, both drafted by Oakland. You see Joe was a number 1. Harden in the 17th round. He's from Canada. And there are the starts with Oakland. Joe Blanton with 118 of them. A little better record for Rich Harden, and both of them coming over to the National League last year in the month of July. And they both did a good job for their respective teams. Here's Joe Blanton in the start against the Cubs last year at Wrigley Field, and he opposed Rich Harden in that game. Joe had a little problem with his control. Nice little kick save right there to throw Harden out. You mentioned he's a Canadian, so he threw him out like a little hockey player there. But Joe, he got a little help on that pitch right there. But for the most part, his control was a thing that betrayed him that day. He did okay. The Phillies would lose that game eventually. This is Joe against the National League Central. And he's been really good. 10 starts, 6-1 his record, and his stats are really good. Walks and strikeouts, also excellent. So Joe Blanton has pitched well against the Central. It'll be fun to see these two hook up again tonight.
Yeah, and Rich Harden has been very good away from Wrigley Field this year. It's amazing to look at his numbers this season.
Well, he's been hurt so much throughout his career, and he's either hot or cold. When you talk to their people, he doesn't have a lot of in-between games. He either is really, really good or he can get hit around a little bit. But the guy has unbelievable stuff. This is against the Phillies when he was with Oakland. You think it's a split. He calls it a changeup. Some people call it a forkball, but watch it dive. 3 straight strikeouts on that pitch. Then a fastball, and here's Jenkins with one down again. Then a fastball. Fastball there. He had 11 strikeouts in that game to tie his career high. But the changeup or split or fork or whatever he wants to call it, that's the thing you look for because it is a strikeout pitch. And there are the numbers for Harden since he's come over to the Cubs, and for the most part, Tommy has stayed healthy because that's been the thing with him. When he was with Oakland, he was going on the disabled list all the time, and he was one of those guys you wonder if he could ever sign to a long-term contract because of his physical condition.
And you saw those numbers, pretty impressive. The strikeouts to innings pitched, more than a strikeout per inning pitch since coming over from the Oakland A's. So it should be a great matchup. Hey, speaking of guys that are catalysts for ball clubs, how about Jimmy Rollins? Over his last 60 at-bats, he's hitting .433. We'll get to the starting lineups when we return. fact, they're back to the 500 mark overall here at home and trying to get over the 500 mark for the first time this year. Here's the Chicago Cubs starting lineup tonight against Joe Blanton. Leading it off in center field, Reed Johnson. Ryan Theriot, the shortstop, bats second. Derek Lee's at first base, hitting third, followed by Aramis Ramirez, the third baseman, batting cleanup. Kosuke Fukudome's in right field, hitting fifth. Alfonso Soriano bats sixth once again. He's in left field. Mike Fontenot, the second baseman, hits seventh, excuse me. Coy Hill, the catcher, bats eighth. And batting ninth and pitching is right-hander Rich Harden. And they will face right-hander Joe Blanton, who is making his 18th start of the year. And, well, it's his second start in 3 days.
Yeah, like a side day. That game in Florida the other night, Tom. He got rained out after in the second inning of that game. Never even got through 2 innings. There are the numbers on him. And his last 2 starts, you kind of have to forget about Saturday night because the stats didn't count. Didn't throw that many pitches, even though he'd given up the 2 runs. And what he has to do, as we look at our Southwest Airlines scouting report, of course, is locate his fastball. And that's why he's been so effective in his last couple starts. Only 2 innings in that last start in the rain out. Really didn't even get through that second inning. So, you know, that, like Joe said, it was kind of like a side day to him.
Well, he'll face Reed Johnson to start things off. Johnson hitting .258 with 4 home runs and 17 RBIs. And Lou Piniella is just trying to figure something out with his leadoff spot. It seemed like he had something figured out with Kosuke Fukudome batting leadoff instead of Alfonso Soriano, but he changes it for tonight's game. And we're underway. The count, no balls and 1 strike to Johnson.
Well, Reed Johnson was with Toronto for a long time, and he's always been one of those kind of dirt ball players that do anything. He reminds you of Ryan Friel a little bit. You know, anything he can to get on base.
He is 5 for 10 lifetime against Joe Blanton, which is one of the reasons why he's in there as the leadoff batter this evening.
Yeah, he's had some injury problems. He's another guy that hurts himself a lot playing the game because he plays it with reckless abandon. That's why I compare him to Ryan Friel.
Yeah, Ryan Friel may have banged himself around so much that he's not really a major league player anymore.
That's a good point, Tom, that he may have hurt himself so much that he can't play at this level now.
1-2 the count to Reed Johnson. He just got a piece of that one. Overall, this is the second career start for Blanton against the Cubs. He pitched against Rich Harden last year at Wrigley Field. Went 5 2/3. He only allowed 2 hits, but he walked 5 in that game. It was a beautiful sunshiny afternoon at Wrigley Field. And Johnson's going to say that ball hit him. Wait a minute. Carlos Ruiz is saying that ball hit the bat. But Johnson's going to take first base, and he's aboard to start this inning.
You saw him dive right into it. And Joe Blanton doesn't think it hit him. Neither did Carlos Ruiz. I don't know. Maybe from the dugout they have a good look. It sounded like it hit that pad, didn't it?
It was either the pad or the bat. No, it was just his arm.
Oh, it hit his right arm. It made kind of a thud sound. It did not sound like it hit the bat, and it didn't.
So he's aboard to start this first inning. Here's Ryan Theriot, who takes a strike.
You know, the one thing sometimes a pitcher will think that he swing at it, and maybe he wants it appealed to first, because if he swung at it and it hit him, it's a strike.
Yeah, I thought it just hit the bat, but obviously by that look it didn't. Theriot was 1 for 2 in last night's game with a couple walks. And the count 1 ball and 1 strike to him. Well, the home plate umpire who made that call is Sam Holbrook. Dan Iasonia is over at first base. Charlie Relaford at second. And Larry Vanover's around at third. It's sharply foul past Mike Quaddy in the third base coach's box. And Perrin Moses has her first play of the night. Opposite way, that's a foul ball into the seats. Think about Blanton the other night against the Florida Marlins. He pitched in just those 2 innings, but it seemed like his fastball, he was having trouble controlling it. Kept flying out open to the outside part of the plate more than anything else.
Well, the ball, it was the double. Who hit it? Hermida.
Yep.
That was a ball out of the strike zone, high fastball. He kind of tomahawked at the left.
I asked Joe the other day, I said, is it a big deal? He said, no. He said, I don't feel any different. You know, it didn't bother me at all. getting a chance to start after just a couple of days.
Yeah, well, there you see Joe's numbers, how much he's improved since May the 26th. Look at his earned run average. And his walk strikeout ratio is a lot better.
Oh, he gets a strikeout there. Something off speed, and Terrio's down on strikes for the first out.
That looked like a straight change, too, which he doesn't throw to right-handed hitters that much. Time now for our Key State Chrysler Jeep Keys 2 tonight. Well, a tough guy tonight in Rich Harden. He can be real good or he can be ineffective. We'll see who shows up. Phillies are .500 back here in this ballpark. Now, that doesn't sound like a big deal until you realize what it took for them to get here. It is a big accomplishment, and they want to build on that, Tom.
Yeah, they've won 10 of their last 11 games here at home, 13 of 14 overall. And this is a 9-game winning streak that has put them at 6.5 games up in the National League East. There's Derek Lee, only 2 career at-bats against Blanton. Blanton starts him off with a fastball on the outside corner.
That was interesting that he threw that changeup to Terrio, because normally right-handed pitchers are going to throw that a lot more to left-handed hitters. It's a very, very effective pitch, but he really fooled him. You got to crowd Derek Lee if you think you're going to get him out, because you keep pitching Derek Lee away and out over the plate with those long arms of his. Well, he does a lot of damage. You have to get him thinking inside to be effective against him.
The Phillies quieted him last night. He was 0 for 4 with a couple of strikeouts.
And they go back in there again. He missed, but at least he's throwing purpose pitches in there.
Most RBIs since the 1st of June. Derek Lee, second only to Albert Pujols in Major League Baseball. Bobby Abreu's had a heck of a run.
Made a really slow start. There's Rodrigo Lopez.
Line drive caught by Pedro Feliz. Ball was hit hard. Pedro went right to his glove side.
Well, there's an example going into him, but now you get the ball out over the plate a little bit to Derek Lee, and he hammers those pitches. Him get extended there and drives it. A nice play by Pedro.
Well, 2 outs now as Lee goes back to the dugout. Here's Aramis Ramirez hitting .308, bouncer toward third. Feliz goes the short way, and the inning is over. So Reed Johnson is retired at second. Pretty efficient inning for Joe Blanton, just 15 pitches. We've played a half. It's the Cubs nothing, and the Phillies coming up. Cleanup batter. Raul Ibanez hits 5th, and he's in left field. Jason Werth, the right fielder, bats 6th, followed by Pedro Feliz, the third baseman, hitting 7th. Carlos Ruiz, the catcher, bats 8th, and batting 9th and pitching, of course, is Joe Blanton. Just 1 for 26 this year, and they're facing right-hander Rich Harden, making his 16th start of the year. 6-6 with a 5.06 ERA.
27-year-old out of British Columbia, Vancouver, British Columbia. You saw the numbers on him, and a little shaky as far as hits per innings pitch, his ERA. That's what he features, and we'll talk a lot about whatever that changeup is.
Facing Jimmy Rollins, who starts things off with a base hit up the middle, and J. Rawls' hitting streak is at 7 games.
took a first ball fastball and hit one of those 100 hoppers up the middle. The thing about Harden, Tom, is you don't want him to get ahead of you too often. In fact, with 2 strikes on the batter, you just don't hit him very much.
And that's because of that fork ball, change up, whatever it is.
193 hitters hit against him with 2 strikes on them. So you may see some early swinging, especially if they get fastballs, to stay away from that changeup.
Oh, with a runner on first, here's Shane Victorino. Shane hitting .308 overall with 6 homers and 42 RBIs. The toss over to first. Jimmy has stolen 16 bases this year. He's been caught 6 times.
It's also a good pitch to run on for because the catcher Coy Hill could have some trouble with. They have Aramis Ramirez way up at third in case the Phillies decide to sacrifice here.
Torino not sacrificing, at least on the first pitch, and it's 0-1. The Lucky McDonald's Phillies home run jackpot contestant is Titus Herzog of Wilmelsdorf, Pennsylvania. The Phillies hit a home run in tonight's ball game. Then Titus will win $100. Introducing the Cafe Coffees at McDonald's, a new line of lattes, mochas, and cappuccinos.
It used to be a big part of baseball for a long time. But get the leadoff man on, bunt him over, and try and score an early run that way. And they don't play that way much anymore. The game has evolved into more of a power run scoring game. But back when there were a lot more number 1, number 2 type pitchers, and you were trying to get an early run for your guy, you would do that more.
Jimmy's doing a little manicuring over on the base paths right now. And a lot of rain overnight here in Philadelphia, and the infield took a whole lot of moisture. Jimmy's trying to make sure that his feet are planted properly. 0-1 the count to Victorino. Another toss over, and Jimmy's back. It's 0-2.
Phillies, when if Victorino bunts, it's normally for a base hit, not to sacrifice and move him over. And for the most part, they like to have him try and hook a ball in that hole and get a first to third by getting a base hit.
Which, as we've talked about lately, he's done a better job of this year.
Has to look middle in early in the count for something hard.
And it remains no balls and 2 strikes. That ball gets away from Coy Hill, and J-Roll is going to head to second base. And that wild pitch is the 4th by Rich Harden this season. And the Phillies have a runner in scoring position with nobody out.
You figure Soto caught him for the most part. Big smile there for Jimmy. What kind of pitch was? That's that changeup. And he grips it kind of like a fork ball, and it dives.
So 1-2 the count to Victorino. And he lays off another pitch in the dirt. 2-2 the count.
This guy really has to beat up his catcher with that pitch, because it is so hard to block.
Shane has been real good with runners in scoring position this year. Part of that is because he's been able to pull the ball so well on the line. He just gets a piece of that and stays alive. So it remains even 2-2.
Yeah, he got those 2 nasty changeups in the dirt, and then he gets a fastball at 95. And that's Rich Harden. And this guy has a tremendous arm and can throw a plus fastball too.
Shane pops it up. Left field line, long run for Soriano. Over is Terrio, and the shortstop does a Soriano hop, and he makes the grab.
And there's that 95 again, and Shane Victorino not able to get around, pull it, and get the runner over.
Seems like something's bothering Shane. It almost looked like he's trying to shake out his left hand.
Yeah, you know, he had a couple check swings on those balls in the dirt, and, you know, maybe he did something to it.
Mark Anderson, one of the Phillies athletic trainers, taking a look at him now. You know, it just looked like he was either shaking both hands out or shaking,
sometimes
his wrist
sometimes
down.
you can hurt your hands or your wrist on a check swing.
Well, here's Chase Utley with one away and a runner on second.
Because he certainly was having trouble trying to pull that fastball. Of course, a lot of guys going to have trouble pulling that fastball.
Chase riding an 8-game hitting streak. He was 1 for 3 in last night's game. Not only is he riding an 8-game hitting streak overall, but he's hitting 15 straight against the Cubs. And Shane comes back up the stairs.
That's a good sign.
That was one of the swings earlier in the at bat for Shane Victorino. And it looks like something's bugging him.
Yeah.
He's kind of windmilling his arm there a little bit. I don't remember seeing anything in last night's ball game that affected Shane at all.
Well, hopefully it was just something that he was able to shake off, or that Mark was able to help him with. Mark Anderson was able to help him.
Jimmy takes his lead off second. And Chase sends it in the air to center field. Reed Johnson on the run. He's got room. He's under it. Makes the catch. Jimmy tags from second. And he'll get to third. And the Phillies now with a runner on third with 2 outs. And during the 2009 season, Turkey Hill will contribute $100 for each Phillies victory and 5 cents for each carton of Phillies Grand Slam ice cream sold to support the Phillies youth baseball and softball programs. So far with the Phillies victories, $5,200 has been donated. The Phillies come into tonight's ball game 14 games over the 500 mark.
Well, it doesn't seem that long ago they went 4-14. They dropped to just 2 over 500. They were open a series with the Mets, thinking, well, you know, due to play a little bit better here at home, and it's been all up since then.
Yeah, counting the 3 games in Florida, Charlie Manuel's team has won 13 of 14 since the 3rd of July. Here at home, they're averaging nearly 7 runs per game, and they're allowing less than 3 runs per game.
Or he's throwing him that changeup 2 in a row. Rich Harden, when he is on with that pitch, can really make hitters look bad. That game he pitched in Oakland last year may have been the best game the Phillies had pitched against him the whole season.
It was fast, too.
It was quick. Yeah, it was getaway day. Phillies were headed to Texas after that one.
Scott Sheridan, the Phillies athletic trainer, talking about Victorino, I would assume. Greg Dobbs in the background. Ryan Howard sees 3 pitches and he's down on strike. So the Phillies strand a runner at third here at the bottom of the 1st inning. Harden gives up a leadoff single, but that was it. We go to the 2nd. No score. seemed to be bothering him after that at bat. Seems like it's okay, at least at this point. Joe Blanton goes back to work. Kosuke Fukudome leads it off. He takes a pitch high. It's 1-0. Fukudome had been batting leadoff for the last dozen or so games as they dropped Alfonso Soriano down to the number 6 spot. There are a whole bunch of articles in the papers today in Chicago talking about how Lou Piniella was happy with Soriano down in the number 6 spot. Fukudome is the leadoff hitter, and well, here we go. This ball game is batting 5th.
And as managers are wont to tell you, they really don't care what anybody else thinks about where they put people in the batting order, because they make out the lineup card. And that's one of the great things about baseball is fans can say, what are you doing this for? Why are you doing that?
Well, Fukudome down on strikes. Good curveball for Blanton. Second strikeout of the night.
Here he is using all his pitches, Tom. He had a fastball in there and a changeup early in the count, and then goes for the kill with a breaking ball, the way he does many times. He'll use a curveball a lot to the left-handed hitters, a slider more to the right-handed hitters.
And you're right, though. That's been the key to his success lately, is all those pitches being used and being thrown for strikes.
And out of the middle of the plate.
That'll bring Alfonso Soriano to the plate. He's hit it 4 straight, and he pops the first pitch up. Behind the mound, 3 infielders converge, and it's J-Roll who calls everybody off. 2 outs here at the top of the second. Well, the team that's right behind the Phillies right now in the division, albeit 6.5 games back, are the Atlanta Braves. They're winning right now against the San Francisco Giants, and they'll be here at Philadelphia for their final series of the regular season here at Philly, beginning Friday, August 28th. That's Cabrini College Retro Knit Cap Night. You can log on to Phillies.com, make your purchase. Tickets are limited and going very quickly. 2 night games and a day game. 2 outs for Mike Fontenot. Fontenot hitting .239 overall. Fontenot was 0 for 4 in yesterday's ball game. The Phillies did a nice job just slowing down this Cubs offense, and in particular Rodrigo Lopez.
Well, the Cubs have really struggled offensively this year, but they were coming in on a high because they have really whipped up on the Nationals over the weekend. There's Rodrigo, did such a good job. So they were feeling pretty good about their offense last night, and then, as you say, Tom, he just shut them down.
Fontenot shoots it the opposite way. It's playable for Ibanez over toward the corner, and the inning is over. 1, 2, 3 go the Cubs. 6 in a row retired by Joe Blanton. Raul Ibanez will start things off for the Phillies. Then Jason Werth. Keyword fever. Last the second, Raul Ibanez leads it off against right-hander Rich Harden. Ibanez has the most at bats against Harden. That's because the two were in the American League West for a good portion of their career. Raul was 5 for 23 against Harden with 1 home run. And he loops that one towards center field. Terrio or Fontenot and Terrio are back, and it's Terrio who makes the catch. And 1 away. Looked as if the second baseman was going to make that play.
Yeah, it looked like it was an easier play for Fontenot, the LSU teammates from Louisiana, both of them with those French names, Fontenot and Terrio.
Yeah, it's not often that guys who have played baseball, whether it be in high school together or even in college together, make it to the same major league team, let alone are the double play tandem for a major league team.
Yeah, it'd be hard pressed to find that.
Jason Werth takes a fastball high. Jason was 0 for 3 in yesterday's game. And overall this year, he's hitting only .236 against right-handers. And one of the glaring stats for Jason against righties compared to lefties are the number of strikeouts that he has against right-handers. And I guess it's understandable looking at his style. He has struck out 68 times against righties and just 19 times against left-handers.
Well, you know, like right-handers against right-hander, left-handers against left-hander, they have a tendency to pull off more, so they're more vulnerable to strikeouts. That's why you talk about switch hitters and use that term. They never worry about the ball coming around them. Big difference, huge difference.
So what Jason's done his last 8 games against the Cubs, that includes last night's 0 for 3. That batting average was over 500 coming into yesterday's game.
Yeah, I'll get you pulling off. Throws one up and in at 96, and then he'll come back with that slider or that changeup. Another fastball. Get your heart pounding a little bit, I would think.
95 up there.
Because if you're Werth, you're going to think after the first one, they're going to go away. Now they are going to go away.
And there's ball 4. Good at bat by Jason. Draws the 1-out walk here in the second inning. Yeah, the first walk issued by Rich Harden. And things haven't gotten that interesting yet here at the ballpark, so keep yourself busy with some other avenues of entertainment. Well, you can't follow the Phillies on Comcast Sportsnet. You can follow the action on your iPhone and iPod Touch with MLB.com at Bat 2009. Visit Phillies.com on your iPhone or iPod Touch to purchase today. 1 out, runner on first. Pedro Feliz, the hitter. Pedro hitting .288 overall with 6 home runs and 46 RBIs. He was 1 for 3 with a couple of runs scored in yesterday's victory by the Phillies. One of the stat lines that really jumps out at you about Pedro this year: 27 multi-hit games. And you're probably thinking, all right, well, is that a lot? Well, he had 26 all of last year. So for him, at least in a Phillies uniform, that's a lot. And that ball off the glove of Derek Lee. And Pedro's going to be safe at first, and Werth will be safe at second. They're going to score that a base hit.
Yeah, Derek Lee bouncing off the play, of course, with the base runner on there. And then the slicing line drive looked like it was to his left, and he just couldn't catch it. And he is so quick, as he proved last night in that great play he made. Here it is. See, he comes bouncing off. Oh, no, it was to his right. And when he dove for it, it went off his glove. And then the Phillies got a really good bounce out of this, where Pedro was able to get to first base before Lee could get to the ball and get it to Harden.
So the Phillies with 2 runners on, and here's Carlos Ruiz. Carlos had a good night last night. He was 2 for 4. With a home run and 3 RBIs. It was his first home run since the 9th of June. Charlie didn't mince too many words yesterday when he was talking about Carlos, and talking about how good it is to have Carlos behind the plate and what a great defensive catcher he's turned out to be. But he also said he's got a hit.
He wants a little more out of it.
Charlie said that he thinks Carlos could be a 260, 270 hitter. And he also thinks he could hit 10 to 15 home runs. He's done that in the minor leagues. And 2-1 the count to him.
Playing the pull, even as hard as Rich Harden is throwing right now, he has a huge gap in right center field.
Waits on deck. Towering pop-up. Foul territory left side. And Ramos Ramirez takes care of Ruiz for the second out.
And he got himself out. Got impatient. 3-1 high fastball. Ball 4. Jammed himself, 2 outs. And watch what happens. I mean, that's just not a strike. And maybe last night he was able to hit a pitch like that out of the ballpark, but it was in a little different location. And in this case, he would have had ball 4, and he had him loaded for Blanton, but you still would have had a chance to get Jimmy Rollins up with the bases loaded, maybe.
So now it is Blanton with just 1 hit and 26 at bats this year. And the count, no balls and 1 strike. Mentioned that Blanton and Harden were teammates with the Oakland Athletics.
Well, you can see in that case with Ruiz that they would rather him do something maybe than to get Blanton up there. But they would want him to swing at a strike.
Blanton breaks his bat. The top of the bat goes out toward third. Lee makes the catch in foul territory. And the inning is over. So the Phillies strand a couple. They've stranded 3 through the first 2. No scores. We go to the third. Well, top of the third inning, no score. Joe Blanton will face 8, 9, and 1. Coy Hill, Rich Harden, and then the top of the order. Hill has done the lion's share of the catching since Giovanni Soto went down with an injury. Rookie of the year in the National League a year ago has just not had the same kind of season. that everybody expected.
Yeah, he got off to a terrible start, and now he's hurt. Giovanni Soto, what a good player he was, from right out of the chute last year. Ooh.
Boy, he'll just ask Sam Holbrook what the count was. He thought it was 2-1. And he pulls that one right past Ryan Howard. A base hit to right field, and the first hit of the night. Well, earlier today in Clearwater, Florida, Pedro Martinez threw a simulated game. He faced 20 batters through 4 simulated innings, and I think the good news was he threw 64 pitches around there, which is about 10 more than what he threw this past Saturday in his bullpen session down in Florida, and there's a chance he could pitch in a minor league game this Sunday. Ruben Amaro, the Phillies general manager, was down there, and Ruben said he just wanted to see what his pitchability was because he hadn't seen him at all except for the bullpen session in Miami this past Saturday.
Yeah, we have no idea how he did or how his pitches were, but just watching that video, boy, he is nice and free and loose.
Sure is.
His arm slot is up. You know, maybe there's not much coming out of there. Who knows? But he does not have any hitch in his delivery the way he's had the last couple of years.
Well, Pedro was quoted as saying that he was excited about the fact that he went 4 innings in a simulated game and that he averaged just 15 pitches per inning.
What a thrill that had to be for those kids, huh? Like whoever that was catching him, to see Pedro come out and slap him on the helmet and all.
Harden squares again, pushes the 1-1 toward third. They've got to play at second. J-Roll to first. Not in time to get Harden. That's a good play by Pedro Feliz. Presence of mind, confidence, and that was all communicated to him by Carlos Ruiz, the catcher.
Right, and you have to know your runner, too. You know, when you have a catcher running and the ball's bunted that hard, unless something unforeseen occurs, you got him at second. So Pedro knows right away, and as Tom said, Ruiz is probably calling too, and that's a great slide by Coy Hill coming in there to make sure Jimmy Rollins had no chance to get Harden at first. Here it is. This is a really good takeout slide, but he was already by the bag as Harden really busted down the line.
So runner on first with 1 out for the top of the order. Reed Johnson was hit by a pitch his first time up, and the count 1 ball and no strikes to him.
But that's part of what you said, awareness. And you know, as a player at any level of baseball, the one thing you're always supposed to do is think, if the ball's hit to me, what am I going to do?
We talked a lot this year about the leadoff spot in the Phillies lineup. The leadoff position, obviously, for the Cubs has been a huge topic of conversations. The Cubs are 25th in the majors in on-base percentage from their leadoff batter.
Well, Soriano, when he leads off, is going to be a low on-base percentage guy.
That one's toward third, could be 2. Feliz to second for 1. Utley over to first. Around the horn they go. A 5-4-3 double play, and the inning is over. Nice job by Joe Blanton to get the ground ball. Good hands by Pedro Feliz throughout the course of this inning. And we've played 2.5 here in Philadelphia. No score. Bank Park. Kind of an overcast sky, which has really been the lay of the land all afternoon long here in the Delaware Valley.
Yeah, no rain, and they expect that it was going to have a much better chance to play tonight than if he was trying to play this morning or early this afternoon. That's for sure.
Well, Jimmy Rollins will lead it off here in the bottom of the third. He singled his first time up. And Jimmy has now hit in 7 consecutive games, and we've been talking about it the last few days, just how good he's been in the month of July.
Well, he's approaching 240, and that sounds terrible for a guy like Jimmy Rollins. Boy, did he have to hit to get to 240 where he was, and as many at bats as he had.
Over his last now 61 at bats, Wheels, he's hitting over 430.
That shows you what he had to do, because he had gotten to what, 202, 203 with way over 200 at bats. It's hard to make your batting average move that much. Unless you really tear it up.
Well, and he's tearing it up here in the month of July. 375 with 9 RBIs. At the beginning of July, he was at 211. I mean, that's how low his batting. Well, his batting average was lower than that at one point, but at least to put it into perspective. And he got the green light. He sends one in the air deep to right field. Fukudome's back. That one is gone. That's how good he has been. Charlie Manuel gave him the green light with the count 3-0, and the Phillies lead it 1-0. Home run of the year for Jimmy Rollins. Even the Cubs fans appreciate it. And Titus Herzog, you've just won $100 courtesy of the McDonald's home run jackpot.
As you said, Tom, a 3-0 green light, a fastball, a little bit middle in, finds its way to the seats.
Shane Victorino on the first pitch. Skies one to shallow right over toward the line. And Fukudome leaps, and he can't get it.
Jimmy Rollins was at 205 after the game of July 1st. That was his low water mark.
205.
205. Wow. And here it is. There's the home run on the fastball middle in. And at that time, Tommy, had 307 at bats already. So that gives you an idea of what we're talking about. I said over 200, over 300 at bats. That guy reluctantly claps.
Figures I'm in their ballpark. Might as well show some affirmation.
So you're already at 307 at bats, hitting 205, and you're up to 240. That's remarkable.
Remarkable.
That's really hot.
Victorino popped out down the left field line his first time up into foul territory. He's ahead 2 balls and 1 strike. Kid's going to have a billfold of pictures of the Fanatic doing all different things. And it's 2-2.
Ooh. Well, that thing got out quick to the sweet level. Well, you mentioned Harden does have some problems with the long ball, and there's one there. That's his 9th to a left-handed hitter.
See if that one stays in the yard. It looks like it will. Hill doesn't take the mask off, and he makes the catch. Oh, this Saturday when the St. Louis Cardinals are in town, it's the 25th of July. That means it's Christmas in July. That's right. The toy drive will take place here at the ballpark. Phillies ball girls will be collecting new unwrapped toys at all entrance gates through the 2nd inning. All donations will benefit local children's assistance organizations. So we invite you to bring some toys to the ballpark if you're coming to see the Phils and the Cardinals. It'll be Rodrigo Lopez that day against Kyle Loesch. One away for Chase Utley. Chase fly to center, his only time up. Phillies have had a lot of success this year against left-handed pitching, which is a good thing with all the lefties they have in the lineup. But when they get a right-hander out on the mound, I mean, they feast.
Well, and they've got a bunch of right-handers coming. You got Correa. Well, tomorrow's Zambrano, that's difficult. Correa in the makeup game, and then 3 right-handers from the Cardinals. I think it's going to be Pinheiro, Loesch, and Wellemeyer.
Yep.
So a lot of right-handed starters coming up.
Well, the middle of this order has hit 50 home runs against right-handed pitching. Utley, Howard, and Ibanez this year. And it's 2-2 to Chase. There's Ryan waiting on deck.
Well, he saw 3 changeups his first time up, all in the dirt.
3-2. Phillies are second in the league at batting average against right-handers and 6th in the majors.
Well, that's one of the reasons why they hit right-handers so well. There's another one. And the guy at home plate, throw him in there.
And he's down on strikes. So there's that changeup from Harden. And that is his second strikeout of the evening. 2 outs here in the bottom of the 3rd.
Well, this is his out pitch, his strikeout pitch. He's got some movement. They say it doesn't spin that much either. That's why they call it more a forkball than a split finger, which spins. Forkball comes out more like a knuckleball. Bob Brenly was described. Bob Brenly, of course, was broadcaster for the Cubs, a major league manager, major league player, and does such a good job on their telecast. Was trying to explain that to us tonight, and it really made a lot of sense.
Ryan Howard saw his share of off-speed pitches the first time he was up. There's Bob Brenly.
Yeah, he does a really good job in those Cubs telecasts. Listen to Bob. He always learns something. Comcast Sportsnet Chicago.
Bob Brenly won a World Series championship as the manager of the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Yes, he did. And he was a catcher with the Giants for a number of years. He used to have a post-game radio show out there. And used to hear it once in a while. I think, well, this guy probably going to be in the business someday.
Two and one the count to Ryan Howard.
Ryan Howard has to think, was that a fastball? I can't believe it.
Came in awfully quick.
He kind of wasted it.
And he's back to the slider, and it's 3-1.
And sliders, changeups, and wasting a fastball on him.
Raul waits on deck.
Ooh.
He didn't give him a fastball there.
Here's how he got him out the first time with sliders and changeups. That was a slider, it looked like. He had thrown a changeup early in the count, and no strikes.
And there's a fastball swung on and missed. So Ryan's down on strikes for the second time in this ballgame. That one came in at 97 miles an hour. But the Phillies take the lead on a home run by J-Roll. Young J. the lead. And joining us now is the Phillies third base coach, Sam Perlazzo. And Sam, I know it's pretty easy over at third base when the count's 3-0 and Charlie gives the hitter a green light, but that was a pretty sweet swing by Jimmy Rollins.
It sure was. He's been swinging the bat for us really well here the past 3 weeks to a month, and obviously that's made a big difference for us. So, you know, he can continue that, we'll be fine.
Is that how Charlie actually decides if they're going to swing? Is just because of the way they've been swinging?
Well, actually, Charlie, he gives them a lot of freedom. He really does. He gives them a chance to go ahead and swing the bat, and there aren't too many occasions when he doesn't give it to them, but he picks his spots, but most of the time he lets those guys go ahead and he trusts them.
1-1 the count to Terrio, and there's a base hit to right field, so Terrio's aboard to start this fourth inning. Sam, you're more than halfway through this season now as the third base coach, and I know you've gotten used to this ballpark. What have been the toughest things that you've had to gauge as the third base coach in this ballpark?
Well, I think I don't know that I'm used to it. I think this ballpark is a challenge all the time. I really do. I think the biggest thing is that, you know, when there's an opening out there, you think there's going to be a little longer, and then it closes really quick. So you kind of have to make sure you get down the line just in case it closes, and you know, try to be able to put the brakes on when you can.
Here's Derek Lee, and Lee takes one inside. I thought last homestand, and maybe this is because the Phillies were scoring so many runs, that you were very aggressive, and it benefited the team over at third base.
Well, you know, a lot of the times your base runner is really the one that gives you a chance. You know, I got some good runners out there. When I got a really good runner and he's coming out hard at me, he gives me a chance to do something. And you know, sometimes you got to get lucky. You can't always expect a good throw, and you know, like I said, the base runner gets going pretty good for you, and he makes the play for you.
Yeah, that is the key, though, being able to give you that effort, and then having Davey Lopes over there at third, knowing that their job is not done until they touch home plate.
Well, absolutely, and you know, he does a tremendous job at first base, and you know, makes it easier on me over there at third. And he pretty much knows, you know, he keeps his eye on me, knows when I'm going to send a guy so he can send a runner too, and you know, maybe catches a run if they cut a ball off on a key play. You know, we try not to make too many mistakes, and you know, you're going to take some shots, you're going to get burnt once in a while, but overall, your runner gives you a good effort, you got a shot.
Count is 1 ball and 2 strikes to Derek Lee with nobody out here in the top of the fourth inning. Hey Sam, how was the All-Star game? I know you guys got a chance to go with Charlie to St. Louis. What was that like?
Well, I think anytime you get to go to an event like that, you know, you're certainly proud that you got to do that. It's an honor that you get to do that. You know, we had a close game. It's one of those things where you're coaching for the entire National League, and you know, 1-run ball game, it seems like it never ends.
Think it's that big of a difference between American League there, Sam, and the National League, since you've been there in the American League for so long?
Well, there's a difference. There's no question for me. You know, when the pitcher's hitting, things change during the portion of the ball game. You know, might have to take a few chances that you normally wouldn't somewhere else, but you know, you still have to play the game. It's still baseball, and you just do the best you can out there.
Well, Ramos Ramirez now the batter with 1 out here in the top of the fourth inning. Sam, I know you've done a lot of work with these guys in the infield, and we've watched Ryan and his maturation defensively. Jimmy's got a long stretch going right now, an errorless streak. And you know, what's your impressions of these guys as you've seen them this year as an infield unit? Well,
I think besides their physical talents, which obviously they have a lot of, what makes my job easier is that they're in the ball game. They understand the game. They pay attention. They know what's going on. You don't have to, you know, constantly remind somebody of this. They don't make a stupid mental mistake. They're just in the ball game. They read pitches. You know, you can kind of go out there and give them a little look. They understand everything that's going on, and you know, they're kind of coaches out there too. So that's what's the big difference for me.
Well, there's a heck of a running grab by Shane Victorino for the second out here in the fourth inning. Sam, as always, we appreciate it. We'll look forward to talking to you again.
Thanks, guys.
All right, Sam Perlazzo, who has done such a great job over at third base as the coach this year for the Phillies, and I thought it was a lot of fun to watch the last homestand, Sarge, and how aggressive the base runners were, and obviously it helped that they scored a lot of runs.
Well, it really does, but the scoreboard always dictates on the chance that you're going to be able to take. Obviously, if you have no score, you may not want to try and send a runner, but if you're up, you want to put pressure on the opposition.
Well, 2 outs now into the top of the fourth. Kosuke Fukudome, who struck out his first time up, is the batter against Joe Blatton. And Joe Blanton keep an eye on Terrio.
Yeah, Joe got him on a good curve ball as he threw that ball down and in on him. Most of the Japanese players that come over don't like that ball inside, for the exception of Ichiro with the Seattle Mariners. He seems to hit balls inside, outside. But you notice with Fukudome, a lot of times in the balls that are being thrown at the plate, he's almost leaving the dish. Almost like he's swinging and running a lot.
Well, and that does seem to be the style of the Japanese hitter.
Yeah. Well, again, Ichiro does it, but he seems to be so strong in his hand-eye coordination for Ichiro, and that's why he gets all those hits. Able to hit line drive to left, pull the ball.
That one's toward left center field. Ibanez on the run toward the alley. He's not going to get there. Plays it on a hop. He slips on the warning track. Terrio's going to score from first base, and this game is tied at 1. An opposite field double for Fukudome, his 20th of the year. And you kind of hold your breath every time you see Raul run into the gap like that, but he looks like he's okay.
Yeah, especially though with the way the turf is. It's a little bit wet in the outfield. He couldn't have hit this ball any better, but the ball's out over the plate. Those are the balls that he will drive as he catches it on one hop. Had to keep on actually running. Terrio with good speed, above average, able to score easily.
So a 1-1 game, and now Blanton with 2 outs has to deal with Alfonso Soriano, who popped out to shortstop his first time up. Good fastball, and it's 0-1. I guess every day that Ibanez tracks a ball in left center field or down the line is a day closer to being 100%. I know when you have a groin strain or a hamstring problem, you're not always 100% until maybe the following year, but you kind of catch your breath a little bit when you see him running down a ball like that.
Yeah, it's going to probably be with him just about, I think, all year long, simply because he's actually running on it.
It's going to be a ball that gets by Carlos Ruiz. We'll see if that's a pass ball or a wild pitch. I thought that ball was a foul ball, honestly, the way it sounded, but Sam Holbrook says no.
See exactly where it is. He did miss it, and I don't know. Maybe that's a pass ball because it was a breaking ball, but he actually turned his glove the other way.
They have crossed him up.
Usually, though, if they cross him up, he goes out there and they talk about it. Say, hey, we're on the same page.
There's another one off the glove of Carlos, but not far enough to allow Fukudome to advance. It is a pass ball charged to Carlos.
It almost looked like he crossed him up the way that he turned that glove. High fastball. I think he got glove on that one.
And he gets Soriano on strikes to finish off this 4th inning. So the Cubs tie it on the double by Fukudome, but he's stranded at third. Middle of the 4th, it's a 1-1 game. Citizens Bank Park on an overcast day. Phillies and the Cubs even at 1, and Raul Ibanez leads it off. Raul popped to short his first time up, and he takes one for a strike. Raul hitting .314 with a team-leading 25 home runs. He has 68 RBIs, one behind Ryan Howard for the team lead, and it's 0-2.
He's at that time on the DL. There's no telling where his stats would be right now.
How about that? Most home runs in his first season with the team. Ibanez with 25. Jim Thome had 47 in 03.
Wow.
And that one's in the air to shallow right center field. Reed Johnson calls off Fukudome. Well, it's time now for our Geico quote of the day as we talk about Raul Ibanez and the year he has had. And Raul, on the Phillies fans, they're part of the game. I look forward to every home game. When you're a little tired or a little sick or whatever, you know they are going to pick you up here. 15 minutes could save you 15% on car insurance. Visit us at geico.com or call 800-947-AUTO. And because he has begun his tenure here at Philadelphia on such a good note, they've embraced him from the get-go.
Well, he got a few boos early on, but he made them actually turn those around, I thought, at the beginning of the season by the way that he was hitting. Simply because Pat was just such a fan favorite that it almost didn't matter what Ibanez did. But he started just scalding almost from the very beginning. And quite naturally, they had to jump on his side. I mean, that's what's so good about these fans. I mean, they're very knowledgeable. You give them an effort, and then besides the effort, you give them the year that Ibanez has had, and that All-Star, making the All-Star game, easy to embrace. Good teammate as well, good in the clubhouse.
Well, that was the one thing that people talked about, too, is how would Pat's void in the clubhouse be filled with Raul coming over? And, you know, he's very different than Pat, but
yep,
he has certainly filled that void.
Oh, no doubt.
Count remains 2-2 to Jason Werth. Well, this is the reaction yesterday after Ibanez hit that 3-run home run. This has become commonplace out in left field.
That's a good feeling when you're going out there and fans are on their feet, especially when they're in that same position that you're in left field. You seem to really kind of care for those fans a little bit more than the ones around the ballpark, simply because they have your back, so to speak.
All right, did they do that for you when you were at the
yes,
bat?
Yes, they would stand up, and I'd go out, and they wouldn't sit down until I gave them the old salute, and then they'd sit right on down. We had a good time going on in Chicago.
What about in Philadelphia?
It was a little rough time early on in Philadelphia.
Sarge, we don't care about Chicago. We're talking about Philadelphia.
Well, in Philadelphia, I mean, I got boos here quite a bit, and then you start hitting the ball. As I came here, I didn't hit the ball very well that first month. And Greg Lazinski, even though I wasn't traded for him,
yeah, he was popular.
They were just saying, yeah, bring back Greg. But, I mean, obviously he's a better power hitter, but we have different games.
That was skied into foul territory up the right field line and back into the seats. And it remains full 3-2. I envisioned, you know, some of the seats over the bullpen in left field at the vet, you know, that would be where, you know, the fans would acknowledge your presence, particularly after the '83 playoffs against the Dodgers.
Oh yeah, it was going on then. But after the '83 year, I got traded.
Well, that's true.
Went to Chicago after that year.
Jason Werth down on strikes for out number 2.
Yeah, that's 95 gas up in the zone. Very difficult pitch to hit.
Well, 4 strikeouts now for Rich Harden. And before Pete Rose gave you the nickname the Sarge, when you were known as Sweetness around the league, how did you signal to the crowd?
Sweetness. That's too much. You know, that was a nickname early on that was given to me. And believe it or not, it was given to me in San Francisco. And that's because of hitting the ball sweet, Tom.
I got you. When Pedro doesn't hit the ball sweet here, he pops it up on the right side of the diamond. And Derek Lee, much taller than Mike Fontenot, makes the call, and the grab, and the inning is over. Phillies go down in order. We've played 4, and it's a 1-1 game. tomorrow to do the opening to the telecast before the start of the ball game.
All
Phillies
of us?
and the Cubs wrap up this 3-game series. And I think it's just you and me.
Oh, really?
Is Wheels coming out there too?
I don't know, but
I think it's just you and me.
Looks like it could be some fun.
Well, it is a great sight in this park. If you walk along there above Ashburn Alley, you can sit and watch the game. The clock is in front of you, obviously, but if you find a spot where you can see the entire field and on a nice summer night, it really is a cool spot to stand and watch the game. Oh, Ibanez makes that play for the first out here in the 5th inning. There is the Bud Light rooftop. And this is a look during yesterday's ball game from the Bud Light rooftop. That's what you will see if you're standing out there watching the game. Pretty good view.
Yeah, it is a good view.
It's almost like watching a ball game at Wrigley Field from one of those, those apartment, those houses, those townhouses along the streets.
Yeah, that would be fun. Mind maybe doing that the whole game out there. Sure, we get a lot of fans coming by saying hello.
That would be pretty good.
Yeah.
Might not be able to see the corners as well, but it's not too bad.
Yeah, got monitors.
Well, I know that folks who have been out to Wrigley Field, if you go along Waveland Avenue in those houses, and they have really made a business out of it. And, I was out there last year and saw an inning or two, and it's a happening place, and that's just what is going on there out in Ashburn Alley and above Ashburn Alley. Pretty cool. 2-2 the count to Coy Hill, who singled his first time up. On the Toyota Major League scoreboard, the Angels have defeated the Royals in Game 1 of their doubleheader. And Junior, 2 for 4 with a couple RBIs.
Yeah, he's starting to get some playing time right now as Hill strikes out. A little change up, down and away.
Well, I haven't looked at his overall numbers since Torrey Hunter went down, but we keep seeing his name in the stats.
I got to tell you, I haven't looked at him either. As a matter of fact, you check this pitch out there, a little change up as that ball goes away. But again, he was talking about being able to play, and I gave him the example of Juan Pierre, who got his chance, and boy, did he make the most of it.
I read the other day that Vladimir Guerrero is not going to play the outfield anymore for the Angels for the rest of the year. Not that he played it that much anyway. Bobby Abreu's been pretty hot.
Oh, he's been, I tell you, this guy drives in big runs.
39 runs
he does.
Over the last 30 games or so.
And very steady. He's always there, 280, 285, or 300 and above. He just gives you a solid at bat.
Harden slaps it the other way. Tough hop for Phillies. And it's a 1-2-3 inning. Harden moves pretty well up the first base line. Cubs are retired in order. We head to the bottom of the 5th. It'll be 8-9 and J. field dollar dog night against the Padres. San Diego is heading to Washington to begin a series this weekend. They're going to fly to Washington and then bus up to Philadelphia for the day, play the game, and then bus on back.
Good luck.
Well, here in the bottom of the fifth inning, good ball game so far. Good pitcher's duel between former teammates. Rich Harden will face the bottom of the Phillies order. We mentioned that Joe Blanton has been real good against the National League Central during his career. Well, you know, Rich Harden has been equally, if not a little bit more impressive against the National League East during his career. He's made now 11 starts, 12 appearances overall. He's 5-0 with a 1.83 ERA against the East. I think a lot of that, Sarge, is because when he was with Oakland, you didn't see him that often, and he would just spring, his start would spring on these National League East teams, and they would be stunned by how good he is.
Yeah, he has a good fastball, and he does have a breaking ball. Doesn't throw it for a strike a lot, but it's a hard breaking ball. So when you're really looking at the fastball and you're trying to hit that slider, it becomes pretty difficult. There's that slide piece. That one there, though, a little more hittable because it's up in the zone. But when he gets it down and he throws so hard, he keeps the hitters honest from going outside to try and hit the ball.
Well, there's a slider that Ruiz swings over and nowhere near, and there's one away.
Now,
5 strikeouts now for Harden. Finish the Phillies game with Michael Barkan and the most extensive game breakdown. Get the expert analysis of former Major Leaguer Ricky Vitalico, plus exclusive player reactions with Leslie Goodell on Sloan Toyota presents Phillies Postgame Live after the game, only on Comcast Sportsnet. One away. Joe Blanton now the batter against Harden. Blanton fouled out to Derek Lee his first time up, and he's ahead 2-0. On the Toyota Major League scoreboard, Derek Lowe has got some room to work with tonight. The Braves lead the Giants 8-0 in the bottom of the fourth inning. Martin Prado, 3 hits, 3 runs scored.
Oh, you started that game there for the Giants. Thought I saw on the list of the papers TBA to be announced.
Well, TBA didn't do too well. Blanton sends one in the air to left field, fairly deep but playable. Crowd wanted to see a similar swing and result to what he did last year in the postseason.
You can see Harden kind of smiling a little bit. Let me tell you something. Big Joe Blanton just missed from hitting that ball out to left center. Just catching it right on the end of the bat a little bit. But this is how you hit him out. 3-0. See you later. Cadillac time as he hits his ball right off the second deck there off the facing. That's when you know you're swinging pretty good, when you can hit that 3-0 the way he did. Just solid.
Well, Jimmy's now 2 for 2. And his average is up to 241.
Boy, I can tell you, that is a long way to come from where he did. It seemed like he was in the 220s there for just about ever.
Fastball there, and it's 2-1. On the Toyota Major League scoreboard, Will Nieves has an RBI and a base hit. The Nationals lead the Mets 2-0 in the bottom of the fifth inning. That one hits sharply toward first, off the glove of Derek Lee. J-roll around first, he'll hold up there. That's going to be the 3rd error of the season for Derek Lee, and he doesn't make too many.
No.
Lee backed up. I mean, shuffled back on that one.
Yeah, I had some top spin on it. He caught him in between hops. That's a play that he would normally make, but he couldn't read the hop on that play as it had top spin on it. Harding pretty quick to the plate, so you're going to have to get an excellent jump if you're going to steal that bag. Almost called him leaning a little bit.
Well, this is a good spot to go, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, and you'd like to try and go early in the count, or you'd like to be able to pick out a breaking ball if you're going to try and steal. It gets to the plate a lot slower.
Jimmy was going back on that pitch. No matter, though, it's a foul, so it's 0-1.
Yeah, Victorino needs to get the ball back on the line. He's got a couple of pop-ups to his credit there.
Davey didn't really say anything to Jimmy as he looked over at him, but they may have made some kind of eye contact. Rollins doesn't go, and the pitch is hit foul. Well, Shane has not had very good swings at all against Harding tonight.
Oh, he just, ever since the first time up when he had a swing, it looked like he almost hurt something. Kind of bent down a little bit. That was a pretty good swing, however, because he fouled that ball straight back.
Jimmy goes. Pitch is looped foul behind home plate. Giro had a pretty good jump, too.
Yeah, that's a fastball, too. 94. Did have a good jump. That ball's up in the zone. Those are the toughest pitches to hit when they are up in the zone. Harding thrown that ball 95, 94 that's up. Then he has that hard slide piece that he throws to the left-handers, more back foot style.
That one gets away from Hill. Jimmy, though, who had started, was already on his way back to first, so he didn't get a good second jump to go to second base.
Yeah, if he had been going all the way, he still is that easy because of the fact that he did go into the dirt, and it was a changeup at about 84.
Jimmy goes, pitch out. Hill was in front of the plate. Now they've got him in a rundown. Jimmy trying to get himself out of this pickle. And he is tagged out by Fontenot to finish off the inning. Jimmy really didn't get a great jump at all, and Hill on the pitch out stepped way in front of the plate. So we're still tied at 1. carried over the last few days for the Phillies. Tonight, they've gotten one clutch hit. It was a 3-0 fastball that J-Roll put into the seats. And it's a 1-1 game as we start the 6th. On the top of the order, Reed Johnson, Ryan Theriot, Derek Lee for the Cubs. And count 1 ball and 1 strike. Joe Blanton began the year, like a lot of the Phillies starters, struggling. But he has really turned things around. His fastball has consistently been between 88 and 92 miles an hour over the last handful of starts, and his breaking pitches have been outstanding.
Yeah, it's got a good curveball there that's going to, seems to drop straight down. It's a good pitch. Actually struck Fukudome out on that pitch. But again, he's keeping the ball out of the middle of the plate, with the exception of Fukudome, who hit a double in left center.
Line drive caught by Pedro Feliz. Second time tonight, Pedro is in the right spot at the right time. Over his last 9 starts, Blanton.
Boy, don't even have time to think. That's why they call it the hot corner there at third base. Feliz catches that with no problem.
Well, and because the defense has been so good, his last 9 starts, Blanton has allowed 3 earned runs or less in 8 of those starts.
Well, one of the things, though, when you're throwing strikes, you get the fielders on their toes anticipating. And when you're throwing a lot of balls, you end up the same thing, guys going to sleep.
That's a good point.
Plus, he doesn't waste a lot of time. He gets it, gets the sign, and, you know, here he goes. Fielders love that, as opposed to just being very deliberate. Rick Sutcliffe used to do that all the time. And finally, Jody Davis would just tell him, hey, throw whatever you can or whatever you want. You don't throw hard enough for me to miss a ball because of the fact it's going to be almost the same speed.
How do you like that?
I didn't like it at all when I'm shaking off those signs.
Pedro backs up on that one, but has plenty of time with his strong arm to throw out Theriot. Well, the Colorado Rockies will be here in Philadelphia for the first and only time during the regular season. On Tuesday, August 4th, it's a 3-game series. The Citizens Bank's Business Person Special on Thursday the 6th. That's a 1:05 start. There are seats available for all 3 of those games, which we haven't said that often during the course of the season, so you might want to capitalize now by logging on to Phillies.com. Two outs. Derek Lee, the batter. He's 0 for 2. And Sam Holbrook took the brunt of that one.
He's asking him, hey, you okay? Ball hitting right on the face mask. Again, though, they always teach catchers, umpires, that when that ball's coming, don't turn your head, because if you do, that ball's going to be on the side. So you want it to hit you right in the front of the mask. Good pitch. He's got it set up if he wants for maybe that little slider going away. He's been on that up in the zone and an outside fastball. You want to come in, make sure it's off the plate.
That one's lined toward left center field. That's going to split the gap. Victorino is going to let it roll all the way to the wall, and Lee is going to have at least a double. That's where he'll stop. That's his 17th double of the year. A little too much of the plate there.
Not a good pitch at all. No balls and 2 strikes. So many different ways you can go. Back up in the zone. Slider away. Gave him something very hittable. Almost. You see where this place is. Almost right down the middle. Ruiz asking for that ball inside. Once it hits the gap, Derek Lee, above average speed, automatically will be on second base. That's where when you work hard to get to that 0-2 count, you really want to have that mental concentration, especially on the good hitters, to put them away or make them at least hit the pitch that you want them to hit. Joe thought that was a strike, borderline low. Look at the movement on that pitch. Might have been a little bit outside, though, but the ball coming back, he caught that outside corner. What do you think, Tom?
I think that's where Sam Holbrook's been calling it most of the night. That's why I was kind of surprised that the second pitch wasn't called a strike, because he's been calling that one too.
Yeah, that's why I think Joe looked in so long, that he had been there all night and didn't get the call. Triple hitter, Ramirez sitting on dead red.
And he pops it up. Chase Utley makes the call. Blanton gets out of the sixth inning. Strands one at second. 1-1 the score. AT&T, the nation's fastest 3G network. AT&T, your world delivered. What a pitcher's duel we have here at Citizens Bank Park. One pitch to Shane Victorino, one away here in the bottom of the sixth inning. Rich Harden has struck out 5. He's allowed 3 hits. Joe Blanton has struck out 4. He's allowed 4 hits. You see the comparisons between the two. These two former teammates are really dueling each other this evening. Joe's pitch count is at a pretty good spot, so he's going to come out and pitch the top of the 7th inning. Chase 0 for 2. He's popped out to center. He's also gone down swinging on strikes. And he hits one in the air to shallow right field. But it's right at Fukudome. Phillies baseball is brought to you by Bud Light Lime. The drinkability of Bud Light with the refreshing taste of lime. By McDonald's, introducing new Angus burgers made with juicy 100% Angus beef. Available with premium toppings in 3 varieties for just $3.99. McDonald's, I'm loving it. And by Southwest Airlines. Southwest Airlines is ready when you are. Go to southwest.com. Grab your bag. It's on. Ryan Howard, the batter. 2 quick outs for Rich Harden.
Rich has been throwing him a steady diet of breaking balls. Then he gets ahead and threw him a high fastball to strike him out his second time.
He's not going to get too many fastballs. I mean, he got one right there, but he may only get one more in this at bat.
Yeah, that was not really a good pitch to even swing at. Pitcher's pitch, fastball, looked like it was inside, maybe even off the plate a little, but not a good pitch to swing at.
Well, he did get a second one.
That's his hardest fastball tonight, 96, as he had a little bit of a tail on it. He has that little hard cutter that he's throwing inside, besides that slider that he throws on the inside part of the plate. He's not able to get together on the sign there. Hill wanting a fastball inside.
Instead, it's a breaking ball, and it's 3-2.
That's that hard breaking ball that he throws, slider that he throws hard, and a lot of times he'll get hitters to check swing on that because they're thinking it's a fastball, and he throws so hard you're trying to get the head out.
Well, that's the pitch that he struck him out on his first time up.
Yep, and a little bit slower though. He's just kind of teasing him and not even throwing strikes.
Try to stick a fastball by him, and it remains 3-2.
It's one of those pitchers that, I mean, it's very difficult to guess with him. You like to really kind of stay hard and adjust, because that breaking ball that he throws, the hard one on the corner, almost impossible to hit.
Seemed like Ryan was guessing fastball all the way there. I mean, he had a pretty good setup for that pitch.
Yeah, he's having better swings. That ball a little bit high in the zone. Wants to get it down a little bit. Again, though, if you catch that high fastball with extension out there, it's going to go a long way. Asking for another fastball. That's what you want to do. I'm so surprised, too, though, Victorino swinging at that first pitch only because he has 96 pitches. You want to really work the count on these kind of guys, and you know they're not going to be able to throw 100 plus pitches.
Lays off, ball 4. Ryan's aboard. Well, that's the second walk issued by Harding. It means Ibanez will have a chance here in the bottom of the 6th inning. Well, tonight is the 39th sellout of the year here at Citizens Bank Park. 45,214. Over 2 million tickets taken this year. Over 3 million tickets already sold. And this sold-out crowd is ready to jump if Ibanez can do something against Harding. It's a 1-1 game here in the bottom of the 6th inning.
That's a tough pitch, and that's what you need about when they throw hard. The pitchers on the outside part of the plate, really difficult to hit, especially when hard keeps you actually honest inside.
Pops it up. This looks like it's going to be playable for Ramirez. Third baseman has plenty of room, and the inning is over. So the Phillies, who haven't had a whole lot of opportunities tonight, strand a runner over at first base. We've completed 6. Rich Harding and Joe Blanton continue into the 7th.
Joe Blanton, he's been terrific. Again, 6 innings, 4 hits, just a 1 earned run on the Fukudome RBI double. Jimmy Rollins a 3-0 solo homer, and that's it so far on the Verizon Wireless game summary. 1-1, Tom, as we're in the top of the 7th.
Yeah, Joe Blanton has not made too many bad pitches tonight, Wheels, but one of them was to Fukudome, who had that RBI double his last time up. He's 1 for 2. But Joe has been real good in this game. That ball was drilled into the crowd, and there are about 3 open seats over the Cubs dugout. Unfortunately, that ball hit one of those open seats. Blanton has struck out 4 in this game. And that should be an easy play for Ryan. And Joe does a nice job getting over to the cover, 1 away. Well, these lucky fans are tonight's Citizens 7. They will each receive a prize pack courtesy of Citizens Bank. Citizens Bank with the most 7-day branches in the Philadelphia area. To find a branch near you, visit citizensbank.com. 1 out for Soriano, who's 0 for 2. I wonder how long Lou Piniella will keep Soriano down in the 6th spot in this lineup. You know, the Cubs have had so many offensive issues that Piniella and the new hitting coach Von Joshua have been trying to work with different guys. In fact, Piniella is doing one-on-one sessions with Milton Bradley.
Well, there's one of the keys to maybe what you're talking about, depending on what they do with Bradley and where they put him. If they get him when they put him back in the lineup, maybe that'll have something to do with Soriano. They're just trying to find some way to score more runs. Oh,
Joe wanted that pitch, and it's outside.
Yeah, he thought he had one there.
Well, Soriano, I mean, he's been so good as a leadoff hitter from a power standpoint.
Yeah, it's outside, but it's still a pretty good breaking ball there.
Lines that one over the head of Rollins. It's a base hit. Soriano has 54 leadoff home runs for his career, which is second only to Ricky Henderson. Ricky Henderson hit 81 leadoff home runs, and this guy is as close to, or was at one point, as close to an Alfonso, or to a Bobby Bonds or a Ricky Henderson as we've seen in baseball.
And we used to see him a lot when he was with Washington.
Look at those numbers, last 8 years.
Those 46 homers he hit were with the Nationals.
36 that year before with 104 RBIs. I mean, 90 RBIs or more for 5 straight years.
He can run too, not like he used to. I know whether or not he even thinks about stealing that many bases. He's stolen 7 out of 9, but he used to be a premier base stealer.
Fontenot's 0 for 2. He's flied out to Ibanez both times tonight. There goes Soriano. The pitch is hit in the air to straightaway center field. Victorino's under it. 2 outs.
They were doing their best to deke him there, but he wasn't taking any part of it.
Hey, earlier today, Matt Stairs and his family were the guests aboard the Canadian warship Fredericton. Matt is a native of Canada. In fact, his hometown is called Fredericton. He toured the ship and met with the crew.
Nice to be around a bunch of
Everybody had a good time. And, you know, Matt, every time we go places and there is somebody from Canada, you know, whether it be a player, whether it be a representative, he's the guy that goes over to have the conversation with that person. And you can see the whole tour and the whole story of Matt and his wife Lisa and his daughters going through the tour of the Fredericton on Behind the Pinstripes with Scott Palmer this Sunday. 2 outs. Coy Hill's the batter. Hill singled his first time up, struck out his last time to the plate. Nice play by Carlos on that short hop. 1-1 the count. Rich Doobie, no doubt, has liked what he has seen from Joe Blanton tonight. You can really say that about his entire pitching staff during this month of July. 1-2 to count. Good hard fastball. Perfect spot. Boy, those are good splits right there.
Yeah. That's the way he's been pitching lately, with good ball strike ratio.
Now, if Hill were to get on, I figure Lou Piniella with Angel Guzman loosening up in the pen would go to his bench to pinch hit for Rich Harden.
Right. Near the 7th inning on the road, you start to think that way. Although sometimes with 2 outs, hope we don't have to find out, but sometimes with 2 outs, you know, although Piniella probably really trusts his bullpen right now, that's been one of their strong points late in the game. So he could conceivably do what you're saying, Tom. Other times managers don't like to go in that route because there's 2 outs, and that's the hardest hit to get, that 2-out hit. And Harden has been really good tonight. That's what they say about him.
Hill checks his swing. They want an appeal. No swing, says Larry Vanover. And Ruiz goes out to the mound. The Phillies had that mulligan this past Saturday because of the rain in Florida, and Joe Blanton was down 2-0 to Josh Johnson. I guess you could say it was kind of a mulligan for him too. I mean, he's bounced back from that short stint to work here on Tuesday night and throw really well.
Well, if he were to get on here, it could be a spot for Bradley. Although, no, it doesn't seem like it.
It's Micah Hoffpower who's got a bat in the dugout.
Yeah, he's a left-handed hitter, a potential left-handed hitter off the bench. Phillies with nobody up in their pen.
Soriano goes 3-2, hit foul. And we'll do it again.
Coy Hill is not much of a hitter. It's certainly giving him a battle right now, getting his pitch count up, and also getting to the point where maybe they would be able to hit for Harden with a guy like Micah Hoffpower, who has power.
Howard plays behind Soriano at first. He goes, and we'll do it once again. Well, the 9 pitches he's thrown to Hill in this at bat has pushed his pitch count to 100. Rich Doobie's going to the phone. Nick Billmeyer there to answer. And Chan-Ho Park is going to get up and start loosening for the Phillies. That time he went around. He didn't check his swing, and Blanton gets another strikeout. He strands a runner on first. The Phillies fans love it. He's through 7 innings in a ball game that's tied at 1. What a real good pitcher's duel tonight at Citizens Bank Park. Yep.
And then in 1984, they made a great trade for Rick Sutcliffe, and he won the Cy Young Award in half a season.
Right.
But I don't know who the other one is.
All right. Well, then the other one is a relief pitcher.
Oh,
Bruce Sutter.
Think of him as a Cardinal. That's right.
Log back on to Phillies.com to find out if you're the winner of a Phillies prize pack.
Darn.
Thanks for playing Dodge Stump the Fans.
Bruce Sutter, yeah, I mean, he had great years with the Cubs and then went over to the Cardinals, and now he's in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, he is. In fact, he and Dennis Eckersley and Raleigh Fingers are kind of resetting the foundation for relief pitchers when it comes to the Hall of Fame. Jason Werth leads it off here in the bottom of the 7th inning. No relief pitchers tonight for either team, because both starters have been outstanding. Ryan Matson is up and loosening for the Phillies.
Yeah, they'll keep, obviously they're going to try and get Harden through this inning. There's Matson, and hope that he doesn't give up anything, then they'll hit for him. They don't have anybody up as the inning begins, but, as you said, Tom, and we showed last inning, Guzman was up, so he's ready.
Lou Piniella, take a look at some of the numbers.
Yeah, you're looking at some matchups for potential pinch hitters that the Phillies have available with his bullpen guys.
He doesn't look like he would be a numbers guy, would he? I mean, with all the years he's managed and all the games he's managed.
Well, they say, when you see him in that dugout, he's got those books out all the time. And, you're crazy not to use them nowadays. Check out matchups. They're going to get somebody up again. Larry Rothschild is their pitching coach, who has been a pitching coach for other teams and a manager for the then Tampa Bay Devil Rays. There's Alan Trammell, one of the great American League shortstops. Is that Marmol?
That's Marmol.
He's nasty. Not Alan Trammell.
Alan Trammell and Lou Whitaker.
Yeah, they were good.
A couple foul balls for Jason, who walked his first time up after running the count full.
Guy's still throwing 95, 96 with 105 pitches.
There's Alan Trammell, who is 5th in games played in Tigers history. Lou Whitaker's 3rd. They were a great double play combination for a long time. Back toward the middle, and Werth's got a base hit. Well, he stayed in there nicely. That's just the 4th hit for the Phillies in this game.
Yeah, that looked like a breaking ball of some kind, something a little off speed after a 96 fastball that he found back. And he hit it right back through the middle. Good piece of hitting. Set up away, a little slider up. Good job by Jason.
Now, we mentioned that Harden is difficult to run on.
Well, Feliz is a good bunter.
I was just thinking the same thing.
They use Pedro to bunt once in a while, and then maybe they would hit for Ruiz. So they're probably going to get their one. They did. They got the one left-hander Marshall up in the bullpen. The one left-hander he has available.
Pedro bunts it up the first base line. It's a dandy. Harden thought about applying the tag, and then fortunately, a guy that rarely makes a mistake over at first is there to scoop that ball up. Sacrifice goes 1-3.
And they're not going to hit for Ruiz with that left-hander up. Pedro is a really good bunter. Charlie found this out about him in spring training. The first year that he was with the Phillies, that he could do this stuff. And every once in a while, he will use Pedro Feliz to put a bunt, and he doesn't know that he's ever failed. He gets the sacrifice down almost every time. And that's unusual for a position player who's hit a lot of home runs throughout his career. He does a good job. I mean, that's a really hard pitch to bunt. You're supposed to bunt a strike, and that certainly was not a strike, but he got on top of the ball.
Carlos 0 for 2. It's popped out to third. He struck out. Dobbs is on deck. He's going to pitch it for Blanton.
Jason Werth likes to steal third too, and they're aware of it. They keep looking back at it. They're using Fontenot, the second baseman, to keep him close. Trying to get a walking lead off second. Well, he really hasn't been able to get any rhythm. Hammer there. So a lot of sliders tonight. along with his changeup, but more sliders than we saw him throwing those other starts.
Werth will go to third base on this ground ball. Throw really didn't have a whole lot on it. Terrio just barely got Ruiz. So a runner on third, 2 outs. And Greg Dobbs has been announced as the pinch hitter by Charlie Manuel.
Now there are all kinds of things here what Piniella wants to do. You know, the pitchers do lead off. Now you've got all these left-handed hitters that the Phillies still have in their lineup. And if you use up your one left-handed hitter or one left-handed pitcher for one batter without a double switch, then he's gone. So see what they decide to do.
Boy, Blanton was really good again tonight. Very good. Here's Marshall, who's up loosening along with Marmol. Ryan Madson will be the next pitcher for the Phillies in the top of the 8th inning.
He's going to stay with. He's going to stay with Harden. He doesn't want to use you for just the one batter who could turn out to be a right-handed hitter anyway if they were to bring Marshall in, and then he'd have to hit for him.
Good matchup for Dobbs. All 5 of his home runs have come against righties. Most of his at-bats as a pinch hitter. And he's ahead 2-0.
All you need here is a single. Get that lead the 7th inning with 6 outs to go.
Came in with a 2-0 slider. Or changeup, I guess. And it's 2-1.
Getting that pitch over. Another changeup.
Well, that one just dropped.
When put slider up, you wiggle. Catcher wiggled like a changeup, so it's so hard to tell what that pitch it is, whether it's a slider or whether it's a changeup he throws. So look at how it moved. See, it didn't look like it was spinning a whole lot, which means it's a changeup.
Cub fans are watching Rich Harden throw more pitches tonight than he's thrown in any of his other starts this year. And he's through 7. A fastball, and Dobbs swings right through it. And the inning is over. Phillies strand a runner on third. We've played 7. We go to the 8th. It'll be Ryan Matson's turn for the Phils. sold-out crowd. This turned out to be a pretty good night here in Philadelphia. Well, they saw 2 starting pitchers this evening throw a heck of a ball game. Rich Harden, 7 innings, he allowed a run. Joe Blanton, 7 innings, he allowed a run. And now Ryan Matson will take over. Blanton threw 21 first pitch strikes against 26 batters. So Harden's night is done. So is his former teammates Joe Blanton's night, as Micah Hoffpower is going to pinch hit for the Cubs here in the top of the 8th inning. Hoffpower played in last night's ball game. 243 overall with 8 home runs. He was 0 for 4 last night. And that's a good changeup right there.
As you said, Tom, that's really good starting pitching here tonight. Both guys terrific.
The only free pass that Joe gave up was the hit batter.
Yeah.
That was it.
And they're both pitching no decisions.
Slow roller. Bumped off the mound. Hoffpower ran pretty well. Mitchell takes care of him. Hey, if you're 30 years old or older, here's your chance of a lifetime to maybe wear the number 11. January 20th to the 24th, 2010, Phillies Fantasy Camp. The package includes hotel accommodations, a fantasy game versus the Legends at Bright House Networks Field, Phillies uniform as we talked about, and much more. You can call now 610-520-3400. Make sure you hurry because space is limited. And if that gentleman went, he'd be happy to know that Sarge is supposed to be there. They could bring that hat that he has. Top of the order, here's Reed Johnson. Watch out. Oh, man. 0-2 the count. It looks as if everybody's okay as that ball went firing into the stands.
Yeah, those are the ones that are the toughest ones because you really don't have much time to react. The guy just fouls it off like that. Line drive.
Down on strikes is Reed Johnson. 2 away here at the top of the 8th inning. 95-mile-an-hour fastball bearing down on the hands.
Yeah, as Tom said, a fastball, and it had some movement in too. Thing really took off in and down, and Reed swung over. When he started to swing, that ball had a lot of the plate. When he finished swinging, it didn't.
Here's Terrio. He's got a base hit. He has scored the only run for the Cubs. Back to the box, an easy play for Matson. Boy, this is a real quick inning for Ryan Matson. Did a nice job, had a lot of life on his fastball. 8 pitches, and now the top of the lineup is due up to the bottom of the 8th.
But then in the fourth inning, the only run given up by Joe Blancoske, Fukudome shoots this ball into the gap in left center field. And that's the only run so far as Terrio scored that one.
Well, Carlos Marmol is the new pitcher for the Cubs. He is a real good setup man. This is his 50th game, 2-1 with a 3.45 ERA. 48 strikeouts and 44 in a third. But he's also walked 43, which has been a big problem for him.
Right, but here's the thing that really jumps out at you right there. Left-handed hitters, 118. And this guy does not throw changeups. He just throws a hard slider with a fastball, and he'll throw predominantly slider. And obviously, he can get left-handed hitters out with it.
Well, they'll face the top of the order to start things off here at the bottom of the 8th. The corners are in for the Cubs. Well, Jimmy doesn't try to bunt too many times to get on base, but they are making sure they have all their bases covered. Jimmy tonight has been on base all 3 times. He's 2 for 3.
Comes right out of the chute with a backdoor breaking ball and misses. He'll throw fastball too, but he can get all over the place with his fastball. He always looks more comfortable throwing breaking balls. Another one. It's amazing how many sliders he throws, and he can throw 95.
Brad Lidge is up in the Phillies bullpen. Figure he'll come on in the 9th inning, no matter what. Although Matson didn't throw, he only threw 8 pitches.
I don't know. That's a good question.
To his back foot with that breaking ball again. It's 2-2.
You wonder why a guy with a 91, 95 fastball, 96 throws so many sliders. Reason? He's so effective with it. Look, he gets a lot of strikeouts.
Brad Lidge is the career leader, active career leader in that category.
It's kind of funky too, the way Marmol throws. But to have those kind of numbers against left-handed hitters and be a right-handed pitcher, what a weapon that is late in the game. You don't need a left-hander. Well, he finally got a fastball, and Jimmy jumped at it. It was 96.
Oh, that's another fastball, but it was going away, and Jimmy's down on strikes. And 1 out here at the bottom of the 8th inning. That was a 97-mile-an-hour fastball sinker.
Protecting with all those sliders too. You see, you're protected on sliders. You see where the pitch was supposed to be, where it wound up, and all he's trying to do, that's one of those emergency swings where he's just trying to foul that off and stay alive and couldn't get to it. Three straight fastballs after all those sliders.
Shade's going to be aboard. He didn't hit it hard, but he got it in the right spot. It was a slider that was up and went right into where he was swinging. Base hit with 1 away. As funky as Marmol is to the plate, he is still somewhat tough to run against, isn't he?
His times are pretty good. And this is not necessarily where you want to run anyway, because you have the hole open and a left-handed batter. We talk about times. That's the time that it takes for him to deliver the ball to home plate. And they time that with the first base coach a lot of times. It gives an idea on whether or not you really have a chance to run. And sometimes we'll use a slide step. Sometimes they'll vary it. There's his move over, and you see whether or not he uses a slide step or not to try and help the catcher out.
The Steelers 2 for 2.
Only 2 have run. But see, when you have that huge hole like that, the infielders are cheating up the middle for a double play. Left-handed hitter up. The idea is really try to get one in that area. Try and get one in that area and get him over to third.
Marmol pitched in 82 games last year with the Cubs. He was 2-4 with a 2.68 ERA. But like a lot of the Cubs pitchers for Lou Piniella, he didn't have a great divisional series. Gave up a couple runs and a couple of innings of work.
Not much worked out for them in that division series against the Dodgers last year.
Marmol was so good last year that he was an all-star. I mean, it's not often that a setup guy gets the nod to go to an all-star game. He also saved 7 games last year. And on the hands of Chase to shallow center field. Terrio, the shortstop, is under it.
Come on, Howard. Let's do it.
And now 2 away here in the bottom of the 8th. On the Toyota Major League scoreboard, the Nationals behind John Lannon's complete game shutout. Defeat the Mets 4-0.
You know, one guy that has really pitched well for them this year is Lannon. One of his problems have been, of course, when he comes out of a game, the bullpen can't hold it, so he didn't come out of this one.
Well, I kept looking up to see who was in the game, and 31 up on the board here in right field was still in there going into the 9th.
Yep, they didn't need to go to the bullpen. There's Alan Trammell setting their defense. It's shortstop behind second.
Deep behind second.
So they're not playing 3 guys on the right side. Well, you know, the normal pull defense, you see. There it is.
Fontenot, the second baseman, is in shallow right. Two and 0 the count to Ryan.
Didn't leave one of those sliders out over the plate to Ryan Howard because he's a low ball hitter, and that's where that ball's going to go, low.
21 go-ahead RBIs, third only to Albert Pujols and Prince Fielder in the National League.
One home run ball off Carlos Marmol this year.
It's 2 balls and 2 strikes. He got 2 straight fastballs. Ryan has the count even 2-2 with Victorino on first base here in the bottom of the 8th inning. A 1-1 game. Phillies have won 9 straight, looking for their 10th consecutive win. And Victorino will get a free start here with the count 3-2.
Even though Yavi Banya's on deck, you have to figure he will not give in fastball here, that he'll throw in the slider.
Derek Lee asked if they wanted him to play off the runner, and they said no. Victorino goes, and the ball is fouled.
Yeah, it was a down and in slider, and it fouled. The reason why they don't want him to play off, Tom, is to make it harder for him to score from first base on a double. Because if you play off him, then he can get a much bigger lead and have a better chance to score. So they've decided to play, keep him close, and they can close off that hole with the second baseman.
He goes again, and a call, strike 3. Ryan thought that pitch was way low. He's down looking. Third time he's down on strikes tonight. 2 strikeouts in the inning for Marmol. So we go to the 9th inning as Ryan Howard is frozen on that breaking pitch. Down Philadelphia. What a sight.
Isn't that pretty?
That is a gorgeous, gorgeous look.
That is a great look down that parkway to City Hall from the Art Museum.
Well, here in the top of the ninth inning, Brad Lidge is entering the ball game. It's a 1-1 game. Brad 0-4 with a 7.02 ERA. And he will face some of the big boys for the Cubs. Derek Lee, Aramis Ramirez, and Fukudome. Derek Lee is 0 for 11 against Brad for his career. He saw these guys an awful lot when he was with the Houston Astros. And he starts him off with a slider for strike one. You wondered after Ryan Matson threw just 8 pitches whether he would come out and pitch this ninth inning. Charlie had Brad up and loosening just in case they had taken the lead.
Boy, use your closer and tie games at home in the ninth inning. Normally managers do not do it on the road because that means you got to use them for 2 innings. Don't have to use them, but you know, if you want to get a save out of it.
1-2 the count. Fouled that 94-mile-an-hour fastball into the glove of Ruiz.
He's trying to repeat his delivery the way he did so well last year.
Off the end of the bat, a huge shot. One away.
Good slider.
Hey, tonight on Sports Night, highlights and analysis from this ball game. Plus, Marshall Harris is in the sun in Clearwater with a report on Pedro Martinez, and Derek Gunn has the latest Eagles info as the rookies get ready to report to camp in less than a week. All the news Philly fans need to know after the ball game on Sports Night here on Comcast Sports Night.
Lou Pinella's getting his guy up, Kevin Gregg, former closer for the Florida Marlins. Well, we used to see this guy a lot. He started off really shaky for them this year. Base runners all over the place, blown saves, tie games, and he's been good lately. As Gregg.
Aramis Ramirez hit by a pitch.
We talk about command with Brad Lidge trying to repeat his delivery. And that thing just nailed Ramirez, a 94-mile-an-hour fastball. And he knows he wasn't trying to hit him, but it still hurt. He didn't know where to go here. That thing's chasing him. And there it drops straight down.
That hurts. Last night in that Brewers Pirates game, Jeff Karstens was hit by a pitch. That one, it seems, the Brewers meant to hit him. This one here, Brad certainly did not mean to hit Aramis Ramirez.
Nope, not with a left-handed hitter up. Fukudome.
Fukudome has the RBI tonight for the Cubs. It came back in the 4th inning. 0-1 the count to him. Back-to-back sliders, and it's 1-1.
Yeah, he's going to be trying to do just what we were talking about with Chase Utley last inning, with that hole on the right side, hit it there and try and get Aramis Ramirez to third base.
See the opening on the right side. You also saw in that shot Victorino a few more steps over toward the gap in left center field.
That's where he hit his double.
Charlie on Sunday put Brad Lidge into a ball game in a non-save situation. And Charlie and Rich Doobie were just trying to get Brad to leave Florida on a good note after allowing a run in his one save opportunity.
Yeah, that was just a confidence thing. We talked about that when he came into the game. That's probably what he was trying to do with it. And it worked because he got Ramirez out.
3-1 the count. Soriano waits on deck. So has the confidence to throw that slider with the count 3-1.
He's really wild with his fastball again, so you wouldn't think they'd run here.
Ramirez doesn't run that well.
And you're running on the count, and you know, they might be afraid of a strikeout double play, and you have Soriano on deck. You see what they decide to do here. Fastball.
Ramirez does go. Pitches it back toward the middle. J-Roll has it on the bag for one, over to first. How about that? Wow. That ball was smoked. It may have been slowed up by the mound. Either way, J-Roll would have had it because he was over there covering. Well, baseball, there's always enough room for a little luck. And Brad Lidge watched this ball go right past his foot, off his foot. To the top of the ninth inning shows that things are going pretty well for the Phillies.
Yeah, you said, Tom, you got to have some luck. You know, I didn't think they'd run in that situation on that count, but they did. And then the ball hits Brad Lidge right on the foot. He kicks it up in the air. Jimmy's there anyway because he's covering with a runner going. Oh boy! You win 9 in a row. You're trying to win 10 in a row, and you know sometimes you get the bounces, sometimes you don't, and that'll have the Cubs shaking their head because that's first and third, one out.
Well, Ibanez 0 for 3 tonight against Carlos Marmol here in the bottom of the ninth inning. He tries to hold up, but cannot on that slider, and it's 1-1.
John Baker, the catcher from Florida, is the only guy to hit a home run off Marmol this year. Left-handed hitter.
2-1. They will appeal. No swing, says Larry Vanover. Well, so far he hasn't hung anything.
No. No, he's got some bite on that baby.
We mentioned one of his issues has been walks. With Jason Werth waiting on deck, maybe Raul can work out a walk.
Well, he can get fried out there too. You see Marmol is very emotional, and when things don't go right, all of a sudden he can get a little goofy.
Oh, he had a fastball that he could hit too.
96. Just overpowered him with it.
Yeah, it was up.
Yeah, he did. Tough to get on top of that one.
3-2. And he foul tips it into the glove of Hill.
Another high fastball.
Third strikeout for Marmol.
2 straight high fastballs, both of them out of the strike zone, and looking good to Raul Ibanez, but he's a low ball hitter. It's hard to hit that thing. When a guy throws out hard to hit that ball and put it in play.
Jason Werth now the hitter. Jason's got a base hit tonight.
This game goes to extra innings. It's going to be CHN Park for the Phillies.
The only one the Phillies really didn't have tonight was Chad Durbin, who threw 3 scoreless innings last night. In relief of Rodrigo Lopez. Here's CHN Park. So a battle of the bullpens, and both of these pens have been good. The Cubs pen has been good for a couple months now, which is why Lou Pinella's squad has got back in the race. Charlie Manuel's pen has been really good here in the month of July.
The Cubs just don't score much. You know, you look at them, think they should be a much better offensive team. There's Park, and they're not. You know, they scored over the weekend, but they kind of beat up on Washington's staff.
3-1 the count to Jason. And a slider down low, ball 4. First walk issued by Marmol. What's the odds he's going at all there, Wills? Oh boy.
You know, he can steal bases, but I don't know that they think he's a base stealer. It just depends on what they have on his times. We explained that earlier, whether or not they're comfortable with it.
You know, Hill's pretty good too, throwing behind the plate.
And the only thing is, Marmol's slider can be hard to handle, so they may think about trying to run on a certain count, or you know, when they really think a slider's coming.
Woodrow got a fastball and it was out of the zone, 0-1.
See, if he'd have run there, that was almost like a pitch out, because a high fastball like that is really easy for a catcher to handle and throw. They're playing Pedro Feliz towards right center field, and there's a big gap in left center. Figure he's not going to pull this guy, which is interesting because he throws so many sliders, and that's a pitch you can't pull. There you see all the room out in left center field.
The opposite way. Moving back is Fukudome to the warning track, makes the grab. I wasn't sure if he was going to get there or not. Ball didn't slice the way I thought it was going to either. That's a pretty good play.
Real good play. Got a great jump on it. Now Matt Stairs are going to come out and take a swing. Fukudome's playing pretty deep. The fastball. Pedro hit it well. And when that ball comes down, it'll be in his glove. And he doesn't have much further to go either.
Two outs now. The sold-out crowd coming to their feet. The active leader in pitch hit home runs is up for the Phillies. He has 18. He has 4 this year.
Now you talk about running now, of course you don't. Because if he gets thrown out, then you lose Stairs. So it's almost a drop anchor situation.
He got a fastball, and it's 1 ball and 1 strike now to Matt.
This guy's got some arm, this Marmol. Good game tonight.
See some real good pitching.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff.
Charlie Manuel and Lou Piniella, these guys have managed a lot of games. Pinella's won more than 1,000 games as a manager.
Yeah, they go back a long way together.
Each have won a world championship. And a slider that drops it for strike 2.
Boy, what a pitch that was, where he doesn't have to go to 3-1 and maybe give in a little bit to Stairs. He throws a slider for a strike.
2-2 the count to Stairs. And a fastball called strike 3. 2 strikeouts in each inning for Marmol in relief here at Citizens Bank Park. And we go to extra innings. Score time. Baco is the new receiver for the Phillies. He'll bat in the number 9 spot. Chan Park is on for his 27th game. 3-2 with a 5.46 ERA. He's in the number 8 spot. That's because Charlie Manuel wants to make sure if this game goes more than a couple of innings, he's got a guy that can pitch more than a couple of innings. See the Phillies extra inning record 7-5. It was the 13th extra inning game for the Phillies and the 12th for the Cubs. Cubs 6-5 in extra inning games. So Park will face Alfonso Soriano here in the top of the 10th.
Phillies 1-3 here in their home ballpark. They played a lot of extra inning games on the road this year.
Soriano has a base hit. He struck out. He's popped to J-roll. I remember watching Alfonso Soriano as a Double-A shortstop and thinking, well, this guy's a pretty good shortstop. Now, at that level, guys that are pretty good are not always really good when they come to the majors.
Then he played second, right, for the Yankees?
Yep. They had always thought about putting him out in center field. I mean, they had talked about it often about putting him in center field.
Well, he's not a great outfielder, but he's been a good thrower since he's been in the outfield with a lot of assists and kind of a weird throwing motion, but real accurate arm.
And he's down on strikes. He waves at a slider. And one away here at the top of the 10th.
Chan Park really has a good breaking ball to right-handed hitters. You know, you don't have to throw a strike in that situation to a wild swinger like Soriano, get ahead of him and make him chase, and he did. There's so many outs that can be recorded in Major League Baseball on non-strikes, and there's a perfect example of it.
And he's ahead 0-1 on Fontenot.
Great catch down below.
Really good catch.
Barehanded, guy reached over.
Talking to Chan Park yesterday about his role in this Phillies bullpen. He said he would still like to be a starter. He said that's always been his goal. But he is enjoying more and more his role in Charlie Manuel's bullpen. And he always talked about, just discussing the role. He was always talking about team first. How it's exciting to be on this team because they won a world championship. And, that to him is the driving force. He's ahead 1-2 to Fontenot. Staying alive. He's fouling one off after another. A reminder that this game, extra innings and all, will encore tonight at 10:30 p.m. and tomorrow at 6 a.m. on the Comcast network. Get a chance to see Joe Blanton and Rich Harden both doing well in this ball game. They'll wait for that one to come down into the waiting hand of Raul Ibanez. 2 outs here in the top of the 10th inning. Well, 2 outs for Coy Hill. Hill is 1 for 3. He struck out his last 2 times up at the pitch. Opposite way, off the end of the bat. Ibanez on the run, dives. He made the catch. Oh, what a play by Raul Ibanez. Let the Rauls rain down here at Citizens Bank Park. That was a heck of a play.
Heck of a play. Left-handed hitter, as you said, it's slicing.
Going well for the Phillies at this juncture of the season.
It's a good play, obviously. A great play as the catch turns out. But, you got to know the situations, as we talked about earlier. If that ball gets by him, it's going to be a double. 2 outs and nobody on base. So that's a chance. That's a time to take a chance. And he did. If you got a guy on first, you want to try and block it. There's certain situations where you don't want to let the ball get by. You want to block it. In this case, go for it. And he did, and a tremendous play by Raul.
Well, it's a great finish. CHN Park waited and waited right around the mound, and he was the last one left out there with Raul. It was a great finish by Ibanez, but he got a great jump on that ball, too.
Yeah, he did everything well.
Well, Angel Guzman comes on in his 35th game for the Cubs. 2-1 with a 2.65 ERA. Paul Bacco will bat for the first time. He was a hero in a final at-bat situation on the last homestand for the Phillies. And he pops the first pitch up. And one out here at the bottom of the 10th inning.
Let's do it.
Well, Jimmy tonight has singled. He's homered. He's got the only RBI. Run scored, the whole boot. And here it is.
Here it is on a 3-0 count. Neither one of these starters made many mistakes tonight, and that's one of the few made by Rich Hart. The fastball got a little bit middle in and hit it out of the ballpark.
Guzman, fastball, curveball, slider. And his fastball is his out pitch. He throws hard, as Wheels mentioned. And you see it right there, 96 miles an hour.
Well, they got some bullets in this bullpen. Almost everybody they bring in can fire.
He pitched in last night's game and gave up a home run to Ryan Howard. And he's going to give up a looping fly ball to Alfonso Soriano.
Man, that thing was in the lights.
How he didn't hurt himself.
He went to, he was out of control because the ball was in the lights. You see him flinch a little bit as he's going after it. See right there? He's fighting it. It's in the lights. Right there. He doesn't know where it is. And he reaches where he thinks it is, and he makes a heck of a play. And then, as you said, Tom, he didn't hurt himself.
Come on, end it.
2 outs. And here is Shane Victorino. Shane's 1 for 4. And he takes one a little low. 1 ball and no strikes. Phillies scored their run at the bottom of the 3rd on the homer by Jimmy. And then the Cubs scored a run at the top of the 4th. That's it tonight. You think about scoring opportunities. The Phillies had runners in scoring position in the 1st, the 2nd, the 7th, and that's been it. Cubs haven't had too many chances either, because Joe Blanton was so good.
And pitching's just dominated here tonight. Great job by both sides.
Phillies are 0 for 7 with runners in scoring position in this game. The only run came from Jimmy Rollins on a home run, where he thankfully got the green light with the count 3-0. Shane pulls it to the right side. Guzman is there to cover. And the inning is over. Phillies are retired in order. We are heading to the 11th inning in a 1-1 game. Joe Blanton started. He went the first 7, allowed a run on 5 hits. Ryan Matson and Brad Lidge each tossed a scoreless inning of relief. Chan Ho Park pitched a scoreless 10th, and now Milton Bradley will pinch hit and bat for the first time in this series. A switch hitter batting from the left side, and boy, has this guy struggled. Hitting .239 overall with 6 homers and 21 RBIs. And he has been working the last couple of days one-on-one with Lou Piniella. And Piniella said that While Bradley has struggled against left-handers, or excuse me, against right-handers, sitting just 201 against him, he's picked up a lot of bad habits that they're trying to get him out of. Park starts him off with a pitch outside.
He's still dangerous. This guy can hit the ball out of the ballpark. And he's hit well here, as you see.
And he's ahead 2 balls and no strikes here in the 11th inning. He breaks his bat. Utley is there. Freshly groomed infield dirt. 1 away. Who said it's going to take time for Milton Bradley to get his stroke right? He signed him to a 3-year deal, and in doing so, let go of Mark DeRosa, who's now with the Cardinals, because they wanted a left-handed bat, and Bradley's a switch hitter, but they wanted to make sure they had at least a left-handed bat that they could put in this lineup.
Remember that situation earlier where he saved Sean Marshall. Of course, Marmo's so good against left-hand hitters anyway, but in that case, he didn't want a double switch, and he didn't want Marshall for just one batter. So he has him up now to come in to pitch to Utley and Howard and Ibanez. So it works out perfectly the way they saved him.
0-2 the count to Reed Johnson. He just blew a high fastball by him. There's Sean Marshall, former starting pitcher for the Cubs. He is their only left-hander in the bullpen.
Left-handed hitters only hitting 164 against him. 280 for right-handed hitters.
Got him. Slider in the dirt. Baco applies the tag. 2 away.
Chan-Ho Park can flat out put right-handed hitters away when he gets ahead of them with that breaking ball. They really pull off. Unless he hangs one. There it is, another non-strike we were talking about last inning. How you can get guys out with non-strikes if you get ahead of them in the count.
So the Phillies bullpen has done tonight. Cubs bullpen has been equally as impressive. Oh, and 1 to Terrio. He's 1 for 4. He scored the only run for the Cubs. That was in that 4th inning. The Braves have won. The Mets have lost. The Marlins have not begun. And the Phillies are in the 11th inning in a 1-1 game. Man, some cheese.
Good fastball. They have Phillies on the line right now with a big hole on the left side. There he is again, ahead of another right-handed hitter. See if he goes to that slider. Rich Doobie charting pitches over there and enjoying what he's watching.
Breaking ball called. Strike 3. Back-to-back strikeouts for Chan-Ho Park. 4 scoreless innings of relief work for the Phillies bullpen. And that is why it's 1-1 as we go to the bottom of the 11th. It'll be Utley, Howard, and Raul Ibanez for the Phils. inning. This crowd of more than 45,000 has hung in there tonight as Sean Marshall will be the fourth pitcher used by the Cubs in his 32nd game. A former starting pitcher who has become a piece to this bullpen for the Cubs. And as Wheels mentioned, left-handers are hitting just 164 against him. That's the Cubs bullpen tonight. 3 innings, 1 hit. The Phillies bullpen, 4 innings, no hits. And as Chase Utley leads it off, Marshall will go to work. Aaron Heilman is behind him in the pen. And the first pitch is in there for a strike. Marshall has a fastball, curveball, slider, and a cutter. His curve is listed as his out pitch. As a relief pitcher, you may not see all 4 of those offerings. But you see the curve, and there it is.
He's a big, tall left-hander. He can run a little bit, too, if you can get a base runner, a base stealer.
Mentioned that Chase has held his own against lefties this year. His average at 297.
We're getting Heilman up in the bullpen. Of course, he's up for Werth. 4th hitter of this inning. There he is, Aaron Heilman, the former Met.
Chase holds. It's 2-2. Phillies have won 9 straight. A win tonight would be 10 in a row. It would be their longest winning streak since they won 13 games back in 1991. A long time. 3-2.
Yeah, everything away, mostly breaking balls, and they want to keep Chase Utley in the ballpark. That if he hits it out, it's going to go the other way, and not give him anything middle inning might pull. And with that breaking ball he's throwing, the only way he's going to throw it middle in is if he hangs one. Changeup.
In the air to right field, not deep. Fukudome's there. And there's one away.
Turned out to be a slider, it looked like. Well, we talked about how good these bullpens have been. Ryan Madson, he did it really fast. And Carlos Marmol had 2 innings with 4 strikeouts, throwing a lot of sliders. He was really good. Got Matt Stairs on the fastball. Chano Park's been outstanding in his 2 innings with a bunch of strikeouts against these right-handed hitters. It's been a battle of the bullpens after both starters tonight. Harden and Blant were real good.
Now Ryan Howard's the batter. Lefty against lefty. He takes a hook for a strike. We mentioned how good this Cubs bullpen has been. We know how good the Phillies bullpen has been, and both are on center stage in this ball game alone.
Everything's away. You can almost, as a left-handed hitter watching this, you can almost cheat out there a little bit.
That's a tough pitch to lay off right there.
That's his out pitch. You said his curveball, and when he was a starter, he used to throw a lot of curveballs.
Pretty good pitch to hit there, although it was a slider. It was knee high, maybe a little higher, and it's 2-2. And Ryan's down on strikes, 2 away.
Just one breaking ball after another.
4 strikeouts in the game for Ryan.
Yeah, they've got him going, and they've got his number in this series so far. 7 punch outs. Here it is. That was a curveball. Slider before that, curveball before that. And Marshall doing his job with the 3 left-handed hitters lined up here, and they saved their 1 left-handed pitcher, and he's in a perfect spot for them.
Now Ibanez the batter with 2 outs, and Raul takes one away. Raul's 0 for 4. He's popped out 3 times, twice to the infield. And he's also struck out. That was his last time up. As Wheels mentioned, you figure if he gets on, then Heilman will come on to face Werth, who's in the on-deck circle.
The Phillies are out of left-handed hitters now off the bench, too. They use all 3 of them, Baco, Dobbs, and Stairs. Here's Jason.
It's 3-0 now to Ibanez.
What a good hitter this guy is. You know, he's been watching what Marshall's been doing, throwing all these non-strikes that guys have been swinging at. And Lou Piniella just yelled out, hey, watch out, he's swinging. In other words, don't give him a cookie. 3-0. That's what Jimmy Rollins hit out of the ballpark earlier, a 3-0 pitch.
He was a good hitter.
Oh, you talk about an aggressive hitter.
Down low, ball 4. The winning run is aboard with 2 outs, and here comes Lou. He's going to bring in the right-hander Aaron Heilman. At least it seems that way.
It's one of the great walks to the mound, too, when Lou Piniella comes out. It takes a while.
It's almost as if he's listening to some music, going on a stroll on a warm summer afternoon, walking the boards down in Ocean City or something. Here comes Heilman. He comes into the game with 2 outs here in the bottom of the 11th inning. With a 4.30 ERA. Heilman, while with the Mets, pitching here in Philadelphia, 1-1 with a save, an ERA of over 7.5 in 18 games. 17 here at Citizens Bank Park and 1 at the Vet.
Threw a ball away one night at first base as a winning run across the plate. He never really pitched that well here. Now we're talking between breaks are 3 Notre Dame pitchers here tonight. 2 have been in the game, Heilman and Lidge, and then we got Samardzija out there in their bullpen, who was a great wideout at Notre Dame.
And you got 1 in the clubhouse too.
And you got 1 in the clubhouse at Phil Sheridan in the Phillies clubhouse, who was a well, you can't call it. There's no conference. I was trying to think of a conference.
Golden Domer.
A Golden Domer, but he was the independent manager of the year when he was on the staff of Lou Holtz. Was Phil Sheridan.
Well, here's Werth, 3 for 9 lifetime against Heilman with a runner on first in the bottom of the 11th inning. This ballpark sometimes gets into the head of pitchers. We've talked about that. We saw it last year in the World Series. Or some of those Rays pitchers.
And Heilman throws a lot more sliders now than he used to throw when he was with the Mets. At least he did last night. In other games we were watching on TV, he used to throw fastball changeup a lot with New York.
2-0 the count. See what the first batters have done against him. This is the 35th at bat this season as Chase Utley looks on.
6 walks.
That looked like his changeup there.
Yep, exactly. That was a pitch that he was very effective with the Mets, or he would get hit. He would make a mistake, and the Phillies hit his changeup a lot and hurt him.
Heilman was traded twice in the offseason, once to Seattle. And the deal that sent J.J. Putz and Jeremy Reed and Sean Green to the Mets, and then from Seattle to Chicago. And it's 3-1 to Jason Werth.
You don't have to give in here.
Lays off, ball 4. Jason has walked for the 3rd time tonight. Back-to-back walks by Lou Piniella pen.
That's what he decided to do, was not give in, as we said, and throw a changeup there. And even though he walks the go-ahead run into scoring position, he did not want to give in with a 3-1 fastball.
Here's Pedro. A base hit in 3 official at-bats, 2 hits in his career against Heilman. The winning run is on second base. Just to lay out the arms. Soriano's listed as a below-average arm, but he is accurate in left field.
Well, you had Sam Perlazo on tonight, and you guys were talking about a lot of these kind of situations. And what he implores his base runner to do right now is get a walking lead off second. Give him a chance to score.
Well, the best arm of the 3 is Fukudome in right, and he is really shallow.
And so is Reed in center.
1 ball, no strikes, the count to Pedro Feliz.
Reed is not going to get beaten with a ball in front of him, that's for sure.
Pitcher spot is due up next. Here's Fukudome. Fastball, and that's 1-1. It's now 1 ball and 2 strikes to Feliz.
Pedro had a walk-off hit last year. The Phillies had a big 9th inning against Valverde of Houston. This ball went into the corner, and Jeff Jenkins came chugging around third, and they sent him, and it was close, and he beat the play.
It's a good slide.
Yeah. Throw was out in front of the plate a little bit. They got like, what, 4 runs in the 9th inning?
Yeah.
Beat Valverde 4 or 5 in the 9th.
Pat Pearl started with the home run the opposite way.
Yeah.
1-2 the count to Pedro. Runners on first and second. He holds up on a breaking ball. They'd like an appeal. No swing, says Dan Iasonia.
Well, I thought he was going up with his right hand for a second, right arm for a second, but he didn't swing.
Bottom of the 11th inning. It's a 2-2 game.
Perlazo love to see Feliz get the 3-2 if he doesn't make it happen here, because then you start the runners.
Broke his bat. Foul ball. Took a good one, Pedro. Boy Hill and Aaron Heilman out to the mound. Heilman last year was 3-8 with the Mets, a 5.21 ERA. The fans can only hope that Pedro Feliz will come through here.
It's his bedtime.
Summertime, Wheels. No school tomorrow.
Oh, okay. Forgot.
And he's down on strikes. A slider, and Pedro swung and missed it, and the Phillies strand 2. So we go to the 12th with the score tied at 1. To report to camp in less than a week. All the news Philly fans need to know after the ball game, only on Comcast Sportsnet. Well, top of the 12th inning. And it's a 1-1 game. Chan-Ho Park has faced 6. He's retired all 6. And now the real tough part of this lineup with Derek Lee leading it off. Lee tonight has doubled in 4 at-bats. And he is hitless in 9 at-bats in his career against Chan-Ho Park. 1-1 the count. Joe Blanton went the first 7. He allowed 5 hits. Since that time, the Phillies bullpen has held the Cubs in check. And it's 1-2.
Not trying to get one more out of Chan-Ho.
His spot leads off in the bottom of the 12th inning. And he got Derek Lee on strikes. 3 straight strikeouts for Chan-Ho Park, 4 overall. And there's 1 out.
Mentioned all those Notre Damers that are pitching tonight. Well, Samardzija's up now in the bullpen for the Cubs as Chan-Ho Park threw a good, hard, sinking fastball there to Derek Lee.
Now Aramis Ramirez, who's 0 for 3. There's Samardzija. We need somebody to catch a pass. He's your guy.
He was good.
And look how quick Park is working, too.
Yep. Oh, he's so confident now. Just want to keep that breaking ball away from these right-handed hitters, and he is very effective. Now he falls behind. A little bit different.
Still threw a breaking ball, and it's 2-1.
And he chased.
Although that was listed as a fastball, I don't think that was a cutter.
No, that was a slider.
Yeah.
That's what, like you said, cutter, but that thing really had some downward movement away.
3-1 now to Aramis Ramirez. Fukudome waiting on deck. That's a big grunt and a big fastball, and it's 3-2.
Well, Ramos and Ramirez is trying to get Kevin Gregg into the game, put them ahead.
In the air to center field. Victorino ventures back. Deepest part of the ballpark. 2 outs.
Got him to reach for a slider, and he still hit it well.
And now 2 outs for Fukudome. He drove in the only run for the Cubs way back to the 4th inning. And he was stranded on 3rd, and what turned out to be a big strikeout of Alfonso Soriano by Joe Blanton. And Fukudome went up there swinging hard on that first pitch.
Sometimes you get in extra innings, everybody's trying to win it with one swing of the bat.
0-2.
See extra inning games where there's not a lot of little ball played, unfortunately.
Last night, Chad Durbin threw 3 scoreless innings out of the pen. Tonight, Charlie Manuel is looking for Chan Ho Park to throw 3 scoreless innings. And he has. Swung on and missed. Fukudome down on strikes. 3 innings for Park. He faced 9, retired all 9. He picked up 5 strikeouts. We head to the bottom of the 12th inning. It's a 1-1 ball game for a lot of reasons. One of the biggest is Chan Ho Park. He was really good. His bullpen has been equally as impressive. 5 scoreless innings of work, and now we go to the bottom of the 12th, and Jeff Samardzija is the new pitcher for the Cubs. He's the 3rd guy from Notre Dame to pitch in this ball game. And he'll take over for Aaron Heilman, who allowed a walk, picked up a strikeout in a 1/3 of an inning in the 11th. And Samardzija will face 8, 9, and 1. 8 is the pitcher's spot. And that'll be Eric Bruntlett. And what a job by Chan Ho Park tonight. 3 innings.
5.
No hits. Face the minimum.
5 punch outs. When you got 9 hitters and 5 go down on strikes where nothing can happen.
So here's Bruntlett hitting 130 this year. Only 10 hits and 77 at bats. And he whacks one toward 3rd, but it's right at Ramirez. 1 pitch, 1 set aside. Saw 1 pitch his only time up. He fouled out to Ramos Ramirez over at 3rd. You could check the Chicago Cubs off as a team that Paul played for in his career. 2-0 the count. If we get to a 13th, it'll be Clay Condrey who will come into the game for the Phillies. In the air to shallow left. Soriano didn't get a great read on that one right away, but he makes the catch. 2 down, top of the order. Well, the guy that's coming up is the guy that started everything offensively. That was way back in the 3rd.
Well, you don't see too many games go this long in this ballpark that are 1-1. And that's the Phillies run on Jimmy Rollins' 3-0 home run back in the 3rd inning. Cubs scored their run in the 4th. A lot of goose eggs on that board tonight.
And Jimmy sends one in the air to left center field. Johnson, though, got a good jump on it. And we're going to go to the 13th inning. Samardzija throws just a handful of pitches to get out of the 12th. It's a 1-1. Red Sox. Clay Condrey is the new pitcher for the Phillies. This is his 35th game. He's 5-2 with a 3.60 ERA. Wheels, the last time the Phillies bullpen went 5 innings of the game without giving up a hit was back in September of 2006 against the Braves. Can you name any of the 4 pitchers that were involved in that stretch of game, the stretch of innings?
2006?
Yeah.
Condrey.
Nope.
No, go ahead.
Eude Brito, Rick White, Aaron Foltz, and Flash.
Well, turnovers quick nowadays, isn't
Those
it?
are some names right there. Here's Soriano against Condrey to start the 13th.
Talking about all these guys trying to end a game with a homer. Here's the poster boy right now.
He tried to do that back in the 10th inning also.
Just stay away from him.
Little cue shot right side. Ryan's got it. Condrey's there. And well, that's an indication just on how the injuries have really hurt Alfonso Soriano, because there was a time where there was no way you'd get him on a play like that.
That would have been a problem. Even with that big swing he took, hit it right off the end of the bat. And good communication too, Tom, with Ryan Howard and Condrey. See, right at this point, Ryan Howard points to him to go cover first. He has it. Condrey heads over, and they make the play. And you know, they practice those plays, and that time it works.
Mike Fontenot, the hitter. And it's 0-1 as Fontenot fouls that right off his foot. Last time they practiced that was before game 1 of that series against the Florida Marlins. Charlie Manuel had a mandatory workout at Landshark Stadium.
PFP, pitchers fielding practice.
Fontenot's 0 for 4. He's flat out 4 times. It's even 1-1 to him. Condry's appeared in one game since coming off the DL. That was the 17th against the Marlins, and he picked up a win as Jeff Stevens starts to fire in the pen for the Cubs.
He's the only guy they have left other than their closer Kevin Gray. The Phillies are starting to get a little bit short on pitching now.
Couple of hops to Utley. 2 ground balls for Condry.
You mentioned Tom Durbin's on the card, but he can't pitch tonight. So then you're down to Aaron Romero, and there are guys you think about as 1-inning guys.
Well, I think the thought is with Condry, there's Scott and Mick Bill Meyer, the bullpen coach, Scott Aaron to the left. The thought is that Condry could give you a little length here.
Well, he's going to have to. Go back to potentially one of those all hands on deck game again. Right, just after you got everybody a little bit of rest.
Oh, quick inning for Clay Condry. As long as Phillies can make this throw, he does. 1, 2, 3 go the Cubs. 6 scoreless innings of relief work for the Phillies. We go to the bottom of the 13th inning. It'll be Victorino, Utley, and Howard for the Phillies. And if you're wondering how we got here, well, a whole lot of good pitching by the bullpens and by the starters. I mean, look at that. Rich Harden, 7 innings. The Cubs bullpen, 5 innings. 1 run between them. Joe Blanton, equally as impressive as the starter for the Phillies. But I think the story of the night really has been how good this Phillies bullpen has been.
Yeah. Both these teams tonight have really done a great job out of the pen. Phillies 1 extra inning to this point with 6 scoreless. Joe Blanton back out on the bench after he gave him a good job. That hostess working the crowd.
I was going to say, you think that all the great ushers and usherettes here at the ballpark, all they do is wipe down some seats, make sure you know where you're going. Nope. They're there to rile up the crowd a little bit, too. She's looking for a high five.
Need a base runner here.
Victorino starts things off with some margin, does something that the Phillies really didn't do the last inning. Let's take a pitch.
Well, it's unfortunate. It's human nature that guys start just swinging for home runs to end it when you get into these long games like this. And maybe somebody will.
Shane this evening as a base hit. That was in the 8th inning. Grounded out twice, popped out twice. Kind of night where the averages could take a hit. Opposite way. Boy, Soriano had him play perfectly. I still don't get that little hop, but there's one away.
Yeah, that's his thing.
I don't think I ever noticed it before.
Oh, yeah, that's. Well, he started playing the outfield, with Washington. That's when he started doing that little hop. Here it is. He does it when he's got it under control. You know, like last night when he had trouble with that ball in left center field, that certainly was not under control, so he didn't do his hop.
I guess Willie Mays had his basket catch.
That looked neater.
One out for Chase, and he's down to the count 0-1.
Marge's really good fastball. This guy throws 95, 96 miles per hour. You know, everybody thought he should go in the NFL, and probably would have been a #1 pick and maybe have a great career. And he wanted to play baseball, and he went through the minor league stuff, and he'd been back and forth with the Cubs, but he's got a pretty good upside.
I think the thought was that he could be a starter at some point, but I think they like him as a relief pitcher because he's got that good fastball.
Got a slider, and he's added a split too. And you know, that third pitch is really good for him for left-handed hitters.
There's the split, and he just tailed outside. We don't say this often, but Chase Utley is hitless in 5 at-bats tonight. Three and 1. He wanted a guy that was going to be a little extra patient, try to get on for, let's say, Ryan Howard or Raul Ibanez, and Utley's trying to do just that.
And now he can, you know, Samardzija's not real experienced. And catcher Hill will try to work him to stay away from middle in, but Utley can lock into a pitch here in a location because he has 2 pitches to play with.
That was not the pitch. He got it off the end of the bat. He popped it foul. It's 3-2. There are a lot of people that stayed into this 13th inning.
Fans love this team. Why not?
Love it because they're never out of it.
They're fun to watch.
In the air to center field, Reed Johnson. He's got plenty of room, and there are 2 outs. On the Toyota Major League scoreboard, we're dipping into the West Coast now. Adrian Gonzalez's RBI single has tied the Marlins at the bottom of the 2nd inning. Adrian's brother Edgar was released from the hospital yesterday after being hit by a pitch in the head. And he visited his team. I guess they said he was going to go on the DL. I think he officially did go on the DL this morning. Troy Hill going out to the mound to talk to Samardzija.
Yeah, and that could be about, you know, everything. We got to think this guy can beat us the other way, but we're going to make him beat us the other way.
Ryan went the other way last night with a home run in that comfortable win for the Phillies. And as we mentioned even last night, he hasn't gone opposite field with a lot of his home runs this year, and that's usually when he's swinging real good. Lupinella and Charlie Manuel. 2-0.
Well, yeah, he'll have one.
I was thinking green light here, and he's taken outside. He had the green light, but that was nowhere near the plate. And it brings Ibanez to the plate. Raul with 5 career walk-off homers. So he's got an air for the dramatic. And one of them came back on April 19th.
Yeah, that was against the Padres that day. They couldn't use Heath Bell. And who that, Moreno? I think it was Moreno. They had to use him because Bell had pitched so much, and he hit the home run off him. That's back when early in the season when the Padres were really a hot team.
And a strike right down the heart of the plate. It's 0-1. 96 miles an hour for Samardzija. Raul's hitless tonight. Wow. Didn't even dawn on me that the 3, 4, and 5 hitters for the Phillies are all hitless in this game.
They're due. See what they're doing though. They're not afraid to walk him here. I mean, he may throw a strike, but the point being, if they walk him, you still have a right situation with 2 outs to win the game in Jason Werth. So they don't want to get hurt here with a long ball by Ibanez.
Oh, that was a pitch where he could have hit it to Camden.
Yep. And it got a lot of the plate. But Samar just got some cheese now. I mean, this thing's 96 miles an hour, but not necessarily where he wanted it.
2-2 the count. Middle of the lineup for the Phillies. 3, 4, and 5. 0 for 14 tonight with 3 walks. Ryan Howard's going. They're just going to let him go, and the pitch is popped up behind home plate, and it should find the seats. It does.
Well, I don't know. They probably don't want to do that.
Yeah, I'm surprised they give him that big of a jump.
Well, because if you hit a double, you can score it.
Right. Game could be over. Ryan runs well when he gets motoring.
Yeah. Do you think they'd be more concerned about him not being able to score from first than a single in the hole, which is what you get by coming off the bag? Because if you hold him on, you're also guarding the line too.
Well, Lee's a little closer to him.
Yeah. See, they just let him go last time. This time they're not. I don't think they meant to let that happen, or they didn't think he'd go.
3-2. Now he's going.
Yeah, now it's fly off.
Derek Lee's trying to get the attention of Alan Trammell to see what he wants him to do. Jason Werth patiently waiting. Howard goes. Ball 4. The winning runs at second base. It's been 5 innings since the Phillies last had a base hit. They have, however, had 5 walks during that span. Jason Werth has 2 of them. A lot of folks feeling their heart and feeling the tension of this ball game. Ryan's at second base. Phillies are 0 for 8 with runners in scoring position. That thought and that stat would end right here if Jason can get a base hit, you would think. And a strike. 96 miles an hour.
First ball fastball. Once again, trying to get Ryan Howard off second base to a potential winning run and get a walking lead. He can go on contact with 2 outs.
And again, the best arm is the guy in right field. One ball, 1 strike the count.
They're playing shading him slightly towards right center. Pretty good gap in left center field for Jason, as you see there on that home plate shot.
In the air to left field. Soriano goes back. That's going to be a game winner. A 3-run home run for Jason Werth. Here in the bottom of the 13th inning. The Phillies hitless in 8 at-bats with runners in scoring position. Hitless no more, and they've won 10 consecutive games. And things are going real well right now in South Philadelphia.